tariffs, of course. This trade truce between these two countries, it is set to expire on November 10th. So the question is, will that truce be extended? Will the countries lower tariffs on each other?
As the government shutdown drags on, federal food assistance programs like SNAP are set to run out of money this Saturday. One widow from Pennsylvania says she'll have to choose to buy food or pay her electric bill. Hurricane Melissa now a Category 1, churning across the Bahamas after raking Cuba overnight. Damage still being assessed in Jamaica. This is ABC News. Federal prosecutors have announced 10 arrests for alleged violence against federal agents during immigration protests in Los Angeles this summer.
Included are suspects accused of dropping scooters and other objects from an overpass onto California Highway Patrol vehicles below. U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley says more arrests are coming.
Violence in any form, specifically targeted at law enforcement, is unacceptable and illegal.
He estimates there are hundreds more people who they're looking to identify and track down for violence against police and federal agents during the protests. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Hurricane Melissa targeting the Bahamas today with sustained winds now of 90 miles per hour. That's a Category 1. The monster storm, though, raked Cuba overnight after making landfall earlier yesterday on Jamaica's west coast as a Category 5. Power is out on 77% of the island. Earlier today, the threat of flooding could also trigger mudslides. I'm Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-859-3220. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 to 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-859-3220. That's 800-859-3220 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. 800-859-3220.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives, a political discussion group about current events and other government-related matters every Wednesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Right here on WSMN 1590 AM, WSMN 95.3 FM, and streaming live on wsmn.live. Making sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day, the Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality. Now, your hosts, Chris Wyatt, Todd McKinley, and John Gorvin.
Hey, folks, welcome back. It's John and Chris. It looks like Todd is tied up somewhere doing something rather important. What's the word tonight, John? How you doing up there in New Hampshire? I'm not sure if it's your lead or my lead tonight. I guess we'll figure it out.
I have no idea whose lead it is tonight. The last time it was just you and I. We just kind of split the lead, and I guess that's what we're doing tonight. No big deal. We always get through it one way or another. We don't care who leads, right?
Well, that's true. I mean, it's we don't get paid more if we lead.
No, we don't. It all pays the same. Next to nothing.
Exactly.
Well, zilch. No. But that's okay. We don't mind. We do it for the fun of it and hope that other people enjoy what it is we do.
All right. Well, cool. Let's talk about my favorite topic. The man who just keeps winning. He just can't stop winning. He ended another war. And now he's gone to Asia. He got a trade agreement with Vietnam and Malaysia and Thailand and Singapore. And then he goes to Japan. He gets their highest award. And the prime minister wants to nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize. He gets a trade deal for $550 billion. Then he goes to South Korea. He gets another trade deal for $350 billion. And he lowers the tariffs for South Korea down to 15%, and for the U.S. imports, it matches at 15%. Now, that's fair trade. Trump just wins everywhere he goes, man.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand the tariffs. The tariffs are a good thing, the way Trump is using them, and we're bringing Todd in now.
Hey, Todd, welcome back. No, it's quite all right.
No more talking trash about Todd, Chris.
Well, no, it was only, let's see, we've been on for 4 minutes. I only talked trash for 3, so that doesn't count.
Right. Yeah. It's only 3/4 of the first 4 minutes.
But seriously, he just keeps winning and winning and winning. I mean, it's been not even 10 months, and we're looking at this. Well, I guess it's 10 months or not. It's not, whatever. It's a short period of time. And just one thing, but I'll tell you
10 months. Yeah, now
I tell you the secret to the success, I think, and I said it when he started this, because they were just buffeted. They spent 4 years building a playbook for this. This is like the Indianapolis Colts come out and they run the whole first quarter without even calling a play. Everybody knows what the play is going to be. Every day, execute this. Next day, execute this. They did so many things. They pushed the leftists so far, confused them so much. They had to marshal the resources of how many court cases they're going to try. And eventually now they're just giving up on these things. Even Bill Gates admits that global warming isn't an issue anymore. The world is changing.
That's influence, man.
Yeah. If the global warming was such a problem, you wouldn't just roll over and be like, it's okay now. Come on now, Bill Gates. Come
exactly.
on.
It's because
we see this though. The people, businesses, and people tend to roll whatever the president's his agenda. They try to fit into it somehow, don't they? Eventually, I mean, Trump had to be a strong advocate for this to happen. But when Biden come in, everybody was all over his agenda. Now Trump come in. It took him 10 months, but now they're falling in line.
Biden had an agenda. I thought it was all about depends.
He did not have an agenda.
He had Obama's
people
agenda.
around him had some sort of an agenda for sure.
Yeah, that's the answer right there. No, but Trump is just knocking it out of the park everywhere he goes. I mean, he's even been trolling the left about running for a third term, which is unconstitutional.
Right.
And
you see what he said the other day.
They took him seriously. Even the Washington Times, a conservative outlet, ran that he was going to run. Silly.
Todd, you got to turn on your microphone, man.
He said something yesterday about,
I can hear him.
That he's not authorized to run for another term. But basically, he just let out the cat out of the bag that he's trolling. Basically, he's like, I don't have the authority to run for another term. That's what he said.
Yeah, I did have my headset turned down a little bit, but he was falling underneath you as far as all.
Yeah, no, he's good. It was going out over the air because I listened in on the air. Yeah, no, he did say that. That's what's so funny about it. I mean, these people, because it fulfills their wildest, bizarrest fantasies. Remember,
right?
They wanted. So isn't this ironic? I should have sent you guys this image. I don't know if I did, or maybe I did. I made a banner with no King's protest, but of course I put King Franklin Delano Roosevelt on there and his four elected terms. And the flip side of it was the current king and queen, Chucky Schumer. What's he been here? 50 years, and then Nancy Pelosi 38 years, 88 years in Congress, the two of them.
Right.
You want to talk? And they're worried about Donald Trump being in office for 4 years and 9 months. Give me a break. These people are just absolute clowns. No kings, no more dingbats. Dingbats should wear signs. Bill Engvall said stupid people. But anyway, crazy
Here's
stuff.
Your sign. Yeah.
Well, I made a song last week called Wear a Sign.
Wear a sign.
Wear a sign.
That's right.
But you got Bernie Sanders, you got AOC, and Mom Dottie all running around New York City, out there campaigning for him. And I'm like, these are some of the most dangerous people in our country. I know they're not the most dangerous, but these are people that are have a lot of power, a lot of influence. Anything that they say, people believe it. People buy into it. So they are really dangerous people. Maybe not physically themselves, but what they say and what they do, and who follows them, it makes them dangerous.
Is there something to the name Bernie? I mean, when I think about Bernie, I think of Bernie Sanders.
Yep.
Bernie Madoff, Bernie Kosar, and Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Bernie Kosar. Yeah, I was about to say Bernie Sanders, but I'm like, wait a minute, Barry Sanders, not Bernie. Anyway, sorry, the running back, Barry Sanders, not Bernie.
I'm just messing around with it, having fun with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, but look. I mean, Trump is kicking it out of the park, man. He's just absolutely knocking it out. He goes in aircraft carrier, gets a hero's welcome from the troops. The troops that aren't being paid. The troops that are deployed are not being paid, and they gave him a hero's welcome. The left can try to make up all they want about Donald Trump, but it's falling on deaf ears. The world is listening. Heads of state all over the world are lining up to praise Donald Trump for his efforts and get on board with America, despite the fact that we did reciprocal tariffs. And people are like, okay, we got to work our way through it. We got to negotiate with the Americans. We got to quit cheating them. Yeah, I love it. And
I was listening to talk radio today, doing some business and some errands. And I heard, that one of the lefties talk about, we got soldiers, we got the law enforcement, we got all these people working without pay. And I'm thinking to myself, I've worked during government shutdowns, and I've worked going without pay for a number of times. You get the back pay. You know you're going to get paid.
Yeah, but the issue is not that. The issue is now we're going to hit an actual payday, and people have mortgages, they've got credit card payments, they've got
I understand that.
car
Yeah,
payments.
I get that.
So I mean, that's where they get it. But you're right. Well, Congress doesn't work without pay, but we've worked without pay many times.
Absolutely. Many times.
I don't see what the problem is. I'm a truck driver, man. It's like we've been working without pay forever and a day, man. It's business as usual for us.
Well, yeah, that makes it tough to pay for that gasoline, that diesel for the truck if you're not getting paid. But I'm sure you got to get paid eventually.
Well, no, the company pays for that, but truck drivers in general just
they're just not paid very well.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh, well, being underpaid is a different story than not being paid.
It's like not being paid.
Okay, you're trying to embellish. Okay, gotcha.
I'm embellishing a little bit. It was meant to be kind of somewhat humorous, but you missed it. Never mind.
No, I didn't miss it. I thought it was humorous, but I just want to make sure we were going there. No,
I'm
but
sorry,
Trump
I'm not good at humor. I'm really not.
It's okay. Neither is Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, well, I got something in common with her then.
That's true. You probably hate her nephew too. She hates him as well. Gavin Newsom.
Gavin,
yeah, that guy thinks he's gonna be the next president of the United States. He's
dangerous guy for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely that. That's for sure. It just amazes me. They just keep trying to pull this crap. Everything, this whole thing, like what's going on now with the Democrats, Todd, and they're trying to lay this millstone around Donald Trump's neck. And Trump is preventing health care for millions of people. No, he's not.
No.
Do we all remember what was the phrase? Vote for the bill. Just vote for it. Then you can read the bill. Who said that? Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi.
15 years ago when this was passed. And what did they put in that bill? A sunset clause of 30 September 2025. And here it is. They are the ones denying people health care. They're the ones that perverted the insurance market. Right. They're the ones who hid the true cost of health care for 20 million Americans. And now they're no longer getting a free ride. They realize how bad it is because now they have to pay like the rest of the folks. And that's all been hidden by Obamacare, the Unaffordable Care Act. So
that's the messed up thing about, man. We got to pay $1.2 trillion in subsidies to keep the program going. What kind of program is that? If you were running a business, you're out of business in no time.
Well, the problem is that we're paying it as taxpayers. This isn't employers funding. And so we're already paying taxes, which pay for that. And we bury in debt because there's enough money for it. And oh, by the way, we pay for other people's health care, but are they paying for ours? No.
Nope.
No. So the whole thing was never feasible. And this is the insurance companies thought they were clever. Like, we're going to get a guaranteed revenue stream. It'll grow every year. This is awesome. The government will work with us more when we do billing. No. See, the Democrats put in, you can't ban for pre-existing conditions. When they stopped pre-existing conditions, the insurance companies were screwed. And that's when this all took off. People forget that when this Unaffordable Care Act went into effect, 20 million working Americans were pushed off of healthcare because their employers couldn't afford the new premiums. 20 million lost their health insurance. 10 million illegals were given healthcare, and 20 million Americans were removed from healthcare. And they had to go on to this subsidy program now. Many of them hardworking Americans who previously got their insurance through their employer because it was affordable. But now it's not affordable because what the Democrats did. And a lot of Americans just don't get it because they don't pay attention. But I was there. You guys were there. We saw this movie. We saw it unfold. And many of us said it was a disaster at the time. Of course, none of us were on the radio at the time. But we're sure we told our friends and neighbors and tried to convince the idiots.
We're lighting it up.
Well, yeah, that was early days of social media. And so, Twitter was the realm of horrible leftists. So I pretty much stayed off it.
I remember doctors telling me, oh, yeah, it's not perfect, but we have to start somewhere. It's like you just released a plan that's not perfect. That's not adequate. And you're telling me that's okay? Like, well, you guys are nuts.
I will start with the place I would have started, tort reform. Maximum payouts for medical malpractice. That's where you start. You fix tort reform. Then from there you go and you subsidize medical school for people who are qualified. Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's right. As a small government guy, I'm all into subsidizing medical tuition for valid medical students who qualify for it.
Right.
But there's a payback. They have to pay us back. And I'm not talking about the money. It could be that. I'm talking about serving. So if you go and you become a specialist, and you become a plastic surgeon, well, then you have to give so much time, so many years, so many weeks per year to doing reconstructive surgery for accident victims and things like that. Or maybe part of our foreign policy, we need somebody to go abroad that's an AIDS doctor, goes over to Africa or Thailand and helps people with HIV in the interest of our national security, our national policy. But that's how you start. You don't jerry rig and corrupt the insurance market and the payer. most people don't pay for the healthcare at all out of their pocket. It's the poor people. I mean, poor bastards that actually pay out of their pocket to see what it costs. Most people have a copay or they pay nothing. And especially if it's, Medicaid or Medicare or some program that's subsidized, then, people don't see it. But those of us who work for ourselves know what that stuff costs. We pay 18% of our income to Social Security, Medicare. It's a lot of money.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. For sure.
Kind of violates free market, doesn't it? I mean, if the government isn't controlling it and manipulating it.
Well, there's no such thing as a free market in America. I mean, our central bank pretends to be independent, but they tend to do things in favor of certain presidents and not in favor of other presidents. And they pretend to be in favor of the public, but they aren't always. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is we subsidize sugar beets. We subsidize oil in this country. Not oil. Excuse me. Yeah, I meant to say ethanol. That's what I'm going to say. Subsidize ethanol to the detriment of the economy. You only get 105% of the energy out of the ethanol. That's not a good value in return for all the energy and pollution that goes into it. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not a free market. The government intrudes everywhere. The government nearly collapsed the entire housing market because they cornered the market with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac by buying mortgage-backed, collateral-backed mortgage securities, packaging mortgages, putting them together, and then reselling in the marketplace or holding on to them and getting the dividends paying out from that. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, a small portion of Americans actually qualify for a loan sponsored by them. Only a handful of people, small percentage of people. Most people don't qualify for it. But in the end, when the subprime mortgage crisis hit, 2 out of 3, every 3, 67% of all mortgages, home loan mortgages, were in the hands of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Because they had a congressional responsibility, a congressional mandate, and a congressional charter to execute that mandate, but they were allowed to become publicly traded companies, and therefore they had to respond to shareholders and have growth. The only way to get growth in that place, because they were so big, was to do the collateral-backed mortgage securities and make money off the interest and selling those loans to other people and buying loans up. And they wound up controlling 2/3 of the housing market without anybody even realizing it. And they put us in jeopardy because less than 5% of subprime loans, which is less than 5% of all loans, so a fraction, maybe 1% plus of all loans, were actually in jeopardy of being defaulted. They didn't even all default, just in jeopardy during the subprime crisis of 2008. But because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac held most of that worthless paper, the entire system was put at risk. And here's the bad part. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, whenever they went into the credit markets to borrow money as a corporation, because that's what banks do, they borrow money from other banks. And
they get preferred lending or
they got preferred rates. They always got a quarter to a half a basis point lower than Countrywide, than Washington Mutual, companies that don't exist anymore, than Bank of America. Any formal banking company that went in, even if they were fantastic, had a great balance sheet, paid more. Why? Because the full faith and credit of the United States backed Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. People knew that they were gold standard. They wouldn't go under. They would survive. And we bailed them out, and we proved that to be the case. And so that's a perversion of the free market. That is not a free market. And the housing market is such a huge segment because of construction, because of loans, because of transportation, because of materials. All of that comes into play. And by corrupting that marketplace, they've tainted the entire U.S. economy. And most people don't even think about this for a second, but think about it. Also, the housing sector is one of the biggest employers of illegal aliens, many of whom are unqualified electricians, plumbers, masons, and carpenters, yet they build our homes. Think about that.
Yep. Very, very true. 100% what you said. I agree with it. So you drinking one of those real Cokes from Mexico with the...
Oh, yeah. Mi amigo. It's a Coca-Cola hecho en Mexico. Yeah, mi amigo. That's right. That's made in Mexico. That's the good stuff, man. That's the high test. None of that low, what am I looking for? Low lead. This is the high test.
Right, yeah. That's high test.
Low lead.
Yeah, for the listeners out there, the Colonel occasionally he'll mute his mic and he'll take a big swig like he's Santa Claus on a Coca-Cola commercial. So
I actually hadn't thought about that, but yeah, that could be it. And the problem is there's no elves here. I need some help. Where are the elves?
I think you were trying to say high octane, weren't you?
Yeah, high octane, baby.
No, high test. That's what we used to call it back in the day. It was, it was the high octane.
Test, right?
Exactly. The higher octane was called high test. That's back when we went to filling stations, man.
Yeah. You had a guy that would come out,
Yeah, exactly. Goober.
You had the airline
come out.
You had the airline with the bolt at the end of it that rang the bell every time you ran it over.
That's right. Yeah, ding ding. Right. Yeah, that's the real world, not this stuff of today. Now I got a discount club that builds a brand new discount club, and they make the gasoline station so small that nobody can get out. I experienced that the other day. And there's only like one little exit, and they only put 20, 15 feet after the pumps, and like 4 cars were all trying to get out, and nobody knew what the right of way was. So I wasn't moving yet, so I was still filling it. But I'm like, I hope they get out of there. Yeah, no, it's a different world now. It's a different world. That's for darn sure. But that's the old days. You can still go to New Jersey and you can't pump your gas there.
Right.
For now.
Right. Yeah. It's funny driving through there, going to New York years ago. And I get to the gas station, I get out, and I'm like about to pump, and they're like, no, there's a guy. I'm like, oh, no way, that's cool. That's a throwback for me from the way back days.
People don't realize it can be if you don't know what you're doing. You can't. It doesn't commonly happen, but you can set yourself on fire. Your cell phone in the hand. All it takes is a little spark, and you got
not
gas.
Supposed to be using a cell phone at a gasoline station.
Well, you also can get static discharge.
Well, what about my
if you
cigarettes?
get back in the car with cloth seats and you get out, you can get.
What about my cigarettes? Now,
not yeah, cigarettes. You're smoking while you're filled up. No, that's why I always touch the body of the car before I grab the pump handle. I ground myself.
Electricity, yeah. Good move.
It can be. That's why they have that law in New Jersey.
Yep.
Oh no, they did it to create jobs, and it didn't do that.
That's employment. Yeah, that's an employment thing. Yeah, it's not about safety. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't care about your safety. I mean, this is New Jersey. Have you ever drank the water?
The United States of America.
Have you ever drank the water there?
I must have. I've been to New Jersey more times than I can count.
Jersey. I'll tell you, every time I go to Jersey, I make sure I got plenty of gas before I leave Maryland. I leave Pennsylvania. There's no way I'm going to Jersey getting gas. I went to Costco and the guy wouldn't let me pump gas. I'm like, what the heck? I forgot about their law.
Did you ever notice when you pay a toll, you're always paying a toll going out of New Jersey?
I mean, they should pay me for taking time and spending it in New Jersey.
Yeah, but they're paying you to get out. It's almost like paying to get out of jail.
I mean, I've actually stayed in hotels in New Jersey. I've stayed overnight there. I won't admit that in good company, but I have.
Right.
Apparently, we're not good company, Todd. Either of the listeners.
No, right. Last time I stayed in Jersey was Cherry Hill, and this was 2 decades ago, and that was like just for like 1 week. So that in and out. But basically, I'd spent some time in Philly doing some work for it was advanced work with the vice president, and of course, he had a visit to Cherry Hill. As soon as that was over, I got the heck out of there.
Well, I stayed in New Jersey when I worked at the National Security Agency. I went up to the AT&T National or their Global Operations Center. Wow. The whole entire world, their entire network. It was a really cool thing to see. And we had things similar to that without elaborating at National Security Agency.
Sure.
So it was pretty cool. And then that's up in Bedminster. That's where Trump's got his golf course, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yeah. And then I've also stayed there to go watch the U.S. rugby team play Ireland, overnighted in where Spartacus from. He's from what's the town?
That was
yeah, he's from not Trenton.
Newark. Is it Newark?
Newark. Yeah, he's from Newark. Yes.
He's from Newark. Yeah. So where Spartacus is from. I stayed overnight there for a rugby game. I've stayed overnight a couple other times there too. But no, Jersey's all right. We give it a hard time, but South New Jersey's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful down there. You go east of the I-95. It gets quite lovely down there. But anyway, it's another state that will imprison you for having a firearm in violation of the Constitution. So,
Yeah. Well, I should tell you a story. This was many years ago. My dad was working in New Jersey when I was a kid, and he had a little 38 revolver, five shot snub nose, and he'd clip it on the bottom of his seat. And of course, back in 1980, you had springs in your seats, and he just clipped it on there. And he got pulled over by a state trooper, out of state tags, Tennessee. He went and looked everywhere at that car. He thought something might be hit. He looked under the seat, leans up, looks back down, and then looks back up, and he goes, "All right, you're free to go." And he's like, I know he had to see it. Oh,
he did. And he could have arrested you in New Jersey.
Right.
That's a felony. So let him go. Wow. I don't know if it's a felony back then, but it is now, because we know the case of the woman from Pennsylvania who'd been raped. He lived in Philadelphia. And, if you've been down around there where you cross from Philadelphia, you got to be very careful, because you make the wrong turn, you wind up looping around and going across that darn bridge into New Jersey, which is a toll bridge coming back. But when you get on the other side, you get off the first exit, you're in New Jersey, you turn around. And that's what happened to her. She missed the turn. So she had been raped like twice.
Right. And
her brother said, get a gun. Get a gun. You could be killed. So she went and she got a licensed firearm. She went to the range. She practiced it. She had her permit. It was authorized. It was in the car. And she missed that turn. She went, and I've almost missed that turn. So I know, and I've also done intentionally, gone across. So I know where she missed it. And then you can't turn around. You're going to go across the bridge, whether you want to or not. So she went across the bridge, came to the first exit, went down. There was a trooper waiting because she had Pennsylvania plates.
No.
She turned around, went back, and headed towards the bridge. Woo! Pulled over. And arrested her for felony possession of a firearm.
Wow.
Even though it's licensed in Pennsylvania.
So
Yeah, because she's black, the media jumped on it and the charges were dismissed. But they put a white guy from Georgia whose mother lived in New Jersey during the Bush administration in prison for like 7 years for felony conviction or possession of a firearm. He was from New Jersey, moved to Georgia, was married, estranged with his wife, was getting divorced. His mother knew he was coming up. He left, came up on 95. She hadn't heard from him. I don't know why his phone was dead or no cell coverage. She called the cops for a welfare check on him. So all they were supposed to do was find him. The troopers found him on the Jersey Turnpike before he got to her house, pulled him over, and that was all it was supposed to be. But they decided to do a search, and he had a lawful licensed firearm in the back, in the trunk, in a lockbox, like it's supposed to be, and he got a 7-year, if I remember correctly, 7-year felony conviction and spent years as a felon in prison in New Jersey for a Second Amendment right. This country is screwed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing, when it comes to something like that violates the U.S. Constitution, the president should be able to, render a pardon, even if it's a state conviction.
I was just going to say that's a problem. It's a state conviction. So,
yeah.
But the governor should have had clemency, but they don't. They're just evil in New Jersey. So,
yeah, it should have never been prosecuted.
Well, they're not. They don't follow laws. There's supposed to be a law, a federal law saying you have a right to transport your firearm. So if you own a firearm here in New Hampshire and say I'm going to go to Florida, the Florida's reciprocal in laws, whatever, I can legally have it in possession in Florida. I have a right to transport it in my vehicle between here and Florida.
Well, you try that. You try that in Maryland or New Jersey, you'll get arrested.
They don't care about the laws. They disregard. Nullify. They nullify the law.
And they're not. Well, that's a concept of nullification, which isn't legitimate in this case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you.
I remember when I lived in says supremacy clause that the Constitution, all federal laws are supreme over state laws.
Yep. When I lived in Maryland, just outside of DC, there near Andrews, nearly every night you would hear gunshots, especially on weekends, Fridays, Saturdays. Gunshots quite regular. Prince George County, PG County police always blue lights going somewhere to responding to gunfire.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, that's like music. I was in the UK, and in one town I was in, it's like every 5 minutes a siren's going off. Like, my goodness, how dangerous is it around here?
Yeah, it's funny. There was a guy in the parking lot, and he's like, as a police officer, and he lived there, but they paid him to sit out there and off duty on occasion, just kind of patrol the parking lot. And he's like, "Hey, why do you live here?" And I'm like, and I told him why and where I worked at and everything. I said, it's convenient to get in and out of work. I'm learning the city, so it's going to be easy to live here for a year, whatever. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, as soon as that year's up, he said, I suggest you get the heck out of here. He's a PG County police officer in uniform. He's like, and he's a black guy too. He's like, you don't belong over here. Joking with me. He's like, you don't belong over here.
Well, I had a conversation with a veteran today at a Starbucks. I stopped coming back from judge training down at the county seat. And I guess on my Starbucks app, it's a military card, the one I use, and I forgot that it was that. And so she asked me which branch we're in. So we got in a conversation while she was ringing up the drink, and we were talking about things because she still has Ohio license plates on her car. And I said, yeah, I've been pulled over many times while driving while in the military. People always talk about driving while black. Try driving while in the military. You're always in a state and you don't have the license plate. You drive around the city a couple times and people see the car repeatedly. They pull you over. You get pulled over all the time for having out-of-state plates and get harassed. So anyway, yeah. So she said, yep, because she's security force in the security patrol in the Air Force, and she's like, yep, you're right. It's driving while in the military.
Oh yeah, I got pulled over in DC one time, just going around the block. Concentric circles near the White House, just trying to get a spot to park because the Ellipse was having some construction or whatever. Got pulled over for that. They're like, "Oh, we've seen you here a couple times." I'm like, "I'm trying to park a vehicle, for crying out loud. Why are you pulling me over?"
Yeah, I think they're overly sensitive in DC. They pulled me over. I was just doing donuts in front of the Capitol building. I don't know what the problem was.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Hey now. You're going left. Can you do it to the right?
Leaning on bad jokes. You got to bring donuts if you're going to do donuts.
Oh man.
Oh my goodness.
I did get pulled over one time, and this is when I lived in Crystal City, just across the way near the Pentagon. I'd left the Ellipse, and of course I left an event. Yeah, I did have like one or two beers, but I know I wasn't drunk or anything. I'm trying to pull in front of this taxi to make this right-hander near the Jefferson Memorial, and he's just being kind of a jackass. So I goose it and get in front of him and go on. Get pulled over by a white minivan, Secret Service Uniform Division. He goes, "Hey, where are you going?" And I was like, "Well, I told him where I was going, and I told him where I worked at, and I showed him my IDs and everything." And I was like, I'm not trying to get out of it, but just letting you know where I work at, and he's like, well, where are you going? I told him where I was going. And he's like, can you make it? No problem. He's like, you're not going to come back tonight, right? I said, not coming back. I can make it home. He said, all right, if I see you back over here, I'm going to arrest you. I said, not a problem. And I got out of there, which I don't think I was drunk, but he said, well, because you said you had a couple beers and you sped in front of the taxi, I have the rights to actually pull you over and arrest you if I suspect that you're drunk. He's like, I don't think that you're too intoxicated, so I'm not going to do his field sobriety. I'm going to let you go.
You're not too intoxicated. I think.
Right.
Well,
he said, I don't think you. He said, I don't think you're to that level.
Okay, all right, that's a better phrase.
Level. Yeah,
technically, any amount of alcohol is intoxication, right? If you're
right
or whatever, it's still
those are my words.
That's why that's his words. I was going to say that's why probably not the best choice of words.
This was many years ago, but of course, Uniform Division didn't really have field sobriety tests. They'd have to call Metro Police to come in, and he knew if I got arrested by them, then it's going to be a big trouble for sure.
Well, on that note, and drunken while driving, no, I'm just kidding.
So he did me a solid. He did me a solid.
There you go. Hey, folks, you're listening to WSMN, the Common Sense Conservatives, 1590 on your AM dial, 95.3 on the FM dial. Every Wednesday evening, rain or shine, snow, sleet, or hail, like the postman, actually better than the postman, we're here. Yeah. Actually, that's not true. We missed a couple shows, so we'll have to tell the truth there. But we're here every Wednesday night, 7 to 9 p.m., talking about issues of importance. Local, national, geostrategic politics, and events that affect your lives around the world. We do have a global audience, even though we're based out of Nashua, New Hampshire. That's where John Grosvenor is sitting in the studio right now. And my other colleague there, Todd McKinley, is in East Tennessee. I'm in Central Pennsylvania, and we appreciate you joining us once again this evening for a conversation. Guys, let me turn direction to, guys, I mean, Todd, I'm all into her. I lust after, every Republican wants to date her. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She screamed like a banshee this week and named every identity politics group you could possibly think of: gays, lesbians, two-eared elves, and she was just, it was crazy, and this group and that group, and the Irish. She even threw the Irish in there, she's like screaming like a lunatic. But then a couple of days later, she did a tweet in which she attacked Riley Gaines again.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
she said, if you would have spent more time focusing on swimming, you would have done better in 5th place. Ow. She's like a 12-time All-American or something like that. I mean, Riley Gaines she's a scholar athlete. Now she's got like probably the most important job of her life. She's a mom. How about Alexandria Cortez, go back to mixing drinks a little bit better? That might be a good use of her time.
Yeah, what a piece of crap. One of the greatest female swimmers in the world, for crying out loud. And, sadly had to compete against trans men for sure. But still better than most men out there for sure.
Actually, I must correct you. It's a trans woman. It's a biological male.
Yeah. You see, I don't care enough to get it right.
Trans men have babies.
I'm with Todd. I can't keep track. I'm just
I don't care enough to keep it straight.
Yeah, right.
I am going to protest the two of you.
You're canceled. You're canceled.
I've been there. Got the T-shirt. Yeah, it's been canceled before. Anyway, it's so Riley Gaines is an amazing person. And here's the thing about Riley that people forget. Before she got married, she's single. She's a college student. She stood up with courage in the face of the woke tide. It was a tsunami of wokeism coming down the pike. Most people sat back and said, we were talking about it. We were challenging it. But most people just sat back and I don't want to be called a bigot. I don't want to be called this. I don't want to call that. I don't want to be accused of saying people with this are mentally ill, even though the American Psychology Association said they were until about 10 years ago. I don't want to be accused of that. So most people just sat back and just let it all ride. Next thing you know, we got the nonsense happening in girls' bathrooms in high schools, which we've seen in Virginia and elsewhere, which helped get Glenn Youngkin elected. But Riley Gaines stood against the wind. She was like facing Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica. That's what she was, all by herself, leaning to that 195 mile an hour. Man, that was crazy. 195 mile an hour gust, or not gust, but sustained winds. She did that when it wasn't cool or popular. Now the tides have changed. The tides have shifted. Now look, folks, if you are transgender or someone is transgender, we're not attacking transgender people.
Not truly transgender.
We have respect and empathy for people that go through that. We're talking about the woke political narrative and objective. It was meant to pervert and twist the minds of prepubescent and pubescent kids going through puberty when they're pubescent, who are going with surgical hormones, boys and girls, and going through a difficult time in their life. We all went through that. Just because you feel out of place doesn't mean you're a different gender or sex than someone who's talking in your ear is telling you. So that's what we're talking about. But she stood up when no one else would stand up, and that was brave. Now, to be fair, she's famous now, but I mean, she could have been a footnote in history. I mean, what's the Miller Lite girl? The transgender,
right? Yeah, what's his name?
Dylan
Mulvaney.
Dylan Mulvaney. There you go.
Yeah. How do you guys remember his name? I'm kind of curious.
Well, there was a comedian named Mulaney, so I kind of remember it that way. Mulvaney.
You made an association.
Yeah. John Mulaney.
So you didn't put up like a poster of this guy or anything, right? It wasn't like
you did.
On your wall.
I see it on the wall.
Hey, John, how's that Bud Light, man?
I don't know. I don't drink Bud Light, even when I drink Budweiser.
I remember when I had my first beer.
Oh gosh, it was Rolling Rock. Oh, PBR, Pabst Blue Rhythm.
But I remember. It seems to me that true transgender folks were taking offense to what the left was doing.
Well, and that's exactly true. And I told people in the gay community about 10 years before that, I said, guys, you're going to be yesterday's fish. They're going to throw you out. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about, man? I'm like, this transgender thing, you pay attention. This is going to be a big thing. And I didn't know how long it was going to take, but I was right. I was 10 years ahead. Yep.
Yeah. Several years ago, I was talking to a log cabin Republican at CPAC, and we were talking about that, and he said it's not going to just be trans; it's going to be the child molesters, the pedos. They're going to come in try to co-opt the movement.
They've been trying to do that for a long time with NAMBLA and things like that. But and I mean, so that's been coming for a long time. But I saw this as a political movement, and sure enough, and they try to depict people as bigots because they are unwilling to suspend reality. Yeah, and that's just tough. That's tough. Anyway, but I mean, the conversation we're having now, if we'd have done this on YouTube, the channel would be gone, a few years ago, because they were censoring people's content. They call people on the conservative side anti-science. Yet we're the ones that believe in science. We're the ones that look at ice cores. We're the ones that know that the temperature was lower 1,000 years ago. We had a mini ice age. We're the ones that know that the amount of carbon dioxide in the air is even remotely approaching what it was during the Jurassic period when the entire planet was heavily vegetated. We're the ones that believe in science. We're the ones that believe science will lead us out of trouble. We reduce emissions. We get rid of acid rain. We improve, mileage in vehicles. We're the ones who believe that. It's the left that doesn't believe life begins at conception. That's science,
right?
That's science. A sperm, an egg, meat, boom. And cells divide, and life is formed.
Right. And then the left says trust the science. There you go. You just explained it. Done. Let's trust it. Move on.
Exactly. So it's the left that doesn't believe in that.
Yep.
So anyway, just once again, I just want to make that clear because some people get emotional about these issues, and understandably so. We're not maligning anyone who's truly transgender or someone that thinks they might be, that's going through that. But if someone's talking in your ear, you should be suspicious.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Especially in insisting that you believe their way. And if you have a question and they want to attack you or slight you or defriend you, whatever. Yeah. Then I would definitely not follow their agenda. They don't know what they're talking about. They want to force you to try to follow. How about you let me investigate? Let me come to my own conclusion. Factual people do that.
I like the old days when we see people like Hillary Clinton talking against homosexual people.
Oh yeah,
and all of a sudden,
back when she ran for president in 2016, right?
Yeah, all of a sudden now she's, I'm for it. I always have been. It's like, there's recorded footage of you. It's like, come on, give me a break.
Did you guys see the Times of London was duped by a Bill de Blasio lookalike?
Really? No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so this Bill de Blasio lookalike said all these bad things about Zoran Mamdani, as if it's hard to find anything bad to say about him. And de Blasio came out with double-barreled. I didn't know what happened to Wilhelm. He just disappeared. But Bill de Blasio came out on an X and he said, I want to be 100% clear. The story in the Times of London is entirely false and fabricated. That would be redundant. Oh, no, not really. They're both okay. It was just brought to my attention. I'm appalled. I never spoke to that reporter. I never said those things. Those quotes aren't mine. They don't reflect my views. Oh, he supports Zoran Mamdani. Good to see that the city that was attacked by fanatical, racist Muslims is now the city embracing a son of a fanatical Islamist from Uganda / South Africa. Yeah, good to see that the city's completely turned around now. And we've handed it over to someone who actually endorses Hamas, endorses what happened on 9/11. Pretty scary stuff.
Yeah, and what happened to
Yeah.
all the people that run around talking about never forget, that were so united, let's never forget 9/11. All of a sudden you're basically, it's like electing one of the terrorists who hijacked one of the aircraft, who maybe he survived somehow, he climbed down the World Trade Center, now he's running for mayor. It'd be like electing one of those guys, in my opinion. Sorry.
Well, I mean, this is the same crowd that had, Ukrainian American lapel pins on
Yeah.
until they got tired of carrying them, but the war's still going on. Now they've all melted into the woodwork. It's just people that don't think for themselves
Yeah.
and don't get it. It's just people. I remember I came back from Tunisia after 9/11, and that's when I haven't been to the States for years because I've been overseas. I came back and everyone was thanking me for my service. And I'm like, okay, thanks. I've never experienced this before. After 18 years in the Army, suddenly people were walking up in the street and thanking me for being in the Army. It was kind of weird. A lot of those people meant well, but I guarantee that most of those people, it wasn't a core part of who they were. It was just because that's what was being done at the time. That's what's expected. Now here in Pennsylvania, you get it all the time. People are very, very patriotic in Pennsylvania, at least in the middle part. I can't speak for Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, but in the middle part, they're very patriotic and people thank you all the time, but that's genuine. I mean, genuine from a standpoint, some of them might be younger, not know why they do it, and understand the true meaning of it, but they do it because they genuinely mean it. Whereas back then, people just did it because it was rah, rah. Look, the Cowboys are number one. I'm a Cowboys fan. Oh, the Ravens are number one. I'm a Ravens fan.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The bandwagon effect.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
It gets on the bandwagon,
It's funny that back whenever I was a much younger guy, you go to the bars or whatever. Right after the Super Bowl, you come in the next week, see who's wearing those jerseys and that hat and everything. It's like, wait a minute. Last week, like you said, you were the Raiders fan. Now you're the Patriots fan because they won the Super Bowl. Come on now, pick a team, pick a lane.
Well, it's interesting because with sports, I've always been a one team. I never changed. I've been an Orioles fan since I was 5. Which is my favorite number, and it was Brooks Robinson's number, and so it worked out pretty well. And I was a Colts fan since 1975. I was a little bit older, but it's when I finally got to watch my first Colts game. I was actually living in Pennsylvania at the time, and stuck with the Colts, even though I don't watch the NFL anymore. In the NBA, I was a kid. I was a Bullets fan, but then they became, the Capitals. But I didn't really follow the NBA until Jordan came in the league. I mean, I found a little bit of Bird and Magic, but it wasn't my cup of tea. But when Jordan came in, because I followed him in college basketball, that's when I became a Bulls fan. But that was just while Jordan was playing. I followed him when he went to DC. But the one time I changed my hats all the time, and that's the NHL. That's the NHL. There was no hockey team around when I was a kid, and you couldn't watch hockey. So I, as a kid living in Pennsylvania briefly, I became a Flyers fan because, it was Bobby Clark, the Broad Street Bullies. And so, but I never got to watch it. Then I came back in 1989 from Germany after my first tour over there, and the New Jersey Devils had come into league, and Martin Brodeur was a goalie. I liked him and watching
Martin Brodeur, classic, baby.
Watching international hockey. Yeah, the greatest goalie of all time.
Yes,
And I became a Devils fan because of him alone. Yeah. And they later wound up winning 2 Stanley Cups for me. It's pretty cool. Then I left. I was overseas. I came back. And I wound up becoming years later. Well, they weren't doing anything. So, I mean, I came back and New Jersey was boring. It was their salad days, whatever. So I saw that Peter Forsberg, who was one of my favorite hockey players, was now going to be playing for Colorado. And so they were a new team. They used to be the Quebec Nordiques. And so they became the Colorado Avalanche. I love the color scheme. And Peter Forsberg was there, so I became a fan. Then they won a Stanley Cup for me.
Patrick Waugh.
Yeah, so they won that one. And then after that, I was overseas again. I came back, and Columbus had a team now. And I went to high school and college in Ohio. I liked that they call themselves, the name they gave themselves as tribute to the Civil War. And so I became a Columbus fan, and they won 18 straight games. Cool. And then I went to the 19th game, and they lost to the Capitals in D.C. I must have been bad luck. On a night when I had to drive home in 4 inches of snow. It was a special evening, to say the least. But then along came the Vegas Golden Knights. The Golden Knights was owned by a former Army officer, a West Point graduate, and he wanted to pay homage and tribute to the Army. And so he named his team, he wanted to call them the Black Knights. But of course, that's the academy, so he couldn't do that. So he came up with the Golden Knights because Vegas, gold and glitz, and casinos, money. And that, the Army actually sued him, the U.S. government, over the trademark for a couple of years. They finally settled it. But I became a Golden Knights. I know, it's crazy. I became a Golden Knights, even though I didn't use Black Knights. I became a Golden Knights fan the moment I found out they had a franchise. Didn't even know what players are going to get. And then I watched every single game of their first season all the way through the Stanley Cup Finals. It's just, so that's the one sport. That was a long story there, but that's the one sport where I change hats. But to this day, Vegas first, then For me, it's Columbus, Colorado, and now it's also Utah Mammoth.
Utah's, huh?
Yeah.
They got a team in South Salt Lake, or
Yeah, it's the Utah Mammoth, man. I was just there. That's where this hoodie came
is that
from.
minor league? What is that? Is that
No, that's NHL.
is it? I didn't know.
Last season, they had a winning
Yeah,
season in their inaugural season. Now they're in the second season. Yeah.
Man, okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember that. Okay, wow, very cool.
I don't have a jersey because I was at the store in Salt Lake. They didn't sell any jerseys. I'm like, what the heck is this? What kind of pro store is this? There's no jerseys. Probably just as well. They probably would have been $500 and everything was way overpriced. Thanks. Anyway, yep. So that's the one sport where I change. Anyway, all right. But Wilhelm was the Wilhelm lookalike duped the Times of London.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I mean, what all did he say? Was he just going off on Mamdani or whatever? Or?
Well, let me see if it's something here. It's I don't know what exactly he said. The Times apologized. Yeah, that doesn't say what it said because the story was ripped down. I don't think many people got a screen capture of it. If you click on the link, the story's gone. The Times took it down. They apologized. But basically, he said, this guy's policies are all messed up. They're unworkable. But that's not what happened. It was a body double.
But you would have to be like, this is suspect. What happened to did de Blasio fall and hit his head or something? Why would he be against Mamdani? Because that's where he would want to go.
Exactly.
I don't understand it.
I mean, they're all falling in line for Mamdani. The guy is all. I mean, he's got this in the bag. He doesn't even have to try, but he still runs around and lies. Did you guys catch the lie this week about how his aunt was so terrified here in New York City? She couldn't go out wearing a hijab after 9/11.
Doesn't wear a hijab. Is not from New York. Doesn't live there.
And is dead and was living in Uganda at the time that this supposedly happened. It wasn't his aunt. It was a cousin.
Right. And there's a picture of her right beside him with no hijab on.
Yeah, exactly. So, this guy's, I guess his mother came out and said he's not really an American.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. And didn't she say something back in 2013? She gave an interview and like, he's more Ugandan in this than he is. He's not really American, basically. He doesn't live here as much. He doesn't have much to do with America. Whatever she said. But basically, he's not an American.
Well, I've lived in Uganda. He sure as heck isn't Ugandan. And I'm not saying it from a position of bigotry. I know Indians who live in Uganda, and he ain't like them.
No, not at all.
Zoran, it's like I'm watching a Bond villain, Zoran Mandami. What was it? What was the one movie, the later Bond movie, mid-range, Zorn Industries or something like that? So it's like I feel like I'm listening to a Bond villain here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, a B movie or a Bond villain, but here he's going to be mayor of New York City for crying out loud. I mean, danger here.
Well, you sure? I'm looking at the polls yesterday because we were interviewing Gonzalo Duran.
I know they closed up, but.
He's running for public advocate. Anyway, so I'm looking at the polls over there, and the polls are showing maybe polled 600 people, voters.
That's a small sample.
Yeah, I'm thinking, and all of them are that way, 500, 600. And they're showing maybe a 10-point to 15-point spread between Cuomo and Mamdani. And so I'm thinking to myself, there's millions and millions of people live in New York City, like 2.5 million in Brooklyn, 2.5 million in Bronx, somewhere around there, 500,000 in Staten Island. So it's, it seems to me that they weren't doing very hard in these polls, more or less like they were trying to sway people's opinion based on the polls.
Well, this is not going the way I thought it would go, because I thought that what would happen here is Sleewood would get 25 to 32%. And that the other two would split the Democratic vote, and Curtis Lee would slip in as a Republican governor with a plurality, or a Republican mayor. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. But if that's only a 15-point spread, that's not what it was a couple weeks ago. He was leading 50-something to 28. So if it's down to 15 points, that quickly, that might be something that's catchable, especially if
Well, they're already starting voting, right? They got early voting starting this weekend, and ends Tuesday of next week. So we'll see what happens.
Quinnipiac has them at 43-33, and Sliwa is 14%. So I don't know if he dropped out and endorsed Cuomo, bite the bullet, endorse Cuomo. Maybe that pulls him even. I don't know.
He was 19% last night, or by the way, they do the polls the previous day.
I was just looking at different polls, and Quinnipiac's pretty popular and good.
Well, it's pretty reliable, Quinnipiac too. That's the thing. But I mean, so look, I find Cuomo thoroughly repulsive, but the sexual perv is better than the Islamic fanatic.
No, absolutely. I'd take a perv because we know how we can deal with a perv. You know, how we can kick him out of office once he's in office. You know,
Exactly.
That's the issue within itself, isn't it? I mean, it's voting for the lesser of two evils.
Right, which is sad that we have to discuss that. You know, and that's where we're at. But we know what we're getting with Cuomo. You know, we're getting pure evil.
Well, we're not getting anything. But we know what New York City is getting.
New York is arguably still the most important city in the nation, and one of the most important cities in the world.
But we do get it because the financial district of New York affects all of us.
Absolutely.
And Madison Avenue, the place that thinks that the only people in America live here are Black Americans based on the advertisements I see on TV, 95% Black, you know, when it's only 11% of the population. Madison Avenue and Wall Street have a ripple effect across this country and affect everything from finance to business development to, you know, it's just without those. And that's in New York. And he wants to tax those people even more, which is it's not going to be good for the rest of us. It's just insane. Free government run grocery stores. What is this? The Soviet Union? I'm like, did you not see that movie?
How quick would that collapse?
Soviet Union?
How quick would that collapse, you think?
2 months.
With it, a couple months, maybe. Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is, I mean, it's proven time and time again. We just talked about earlier with Obamacare. Government is inept when it comes to managing these sorts of things.
Well, and that's what the left just can't wrap their head around or refuse to wrap their head around the fact that human beings are free thinking creatures and they behave the way that's in their interest. That's why incentives work. The profit motive is the best incentive. The free market is the best system because it will drive people towards a profit motive in a responsible way so that they profit. But oftentimes there's other beneficiaries of it. You know, it drives me nuts that they think that they can just legislate how people behave. They don't understand human nature at all.
Right.
There will always be creepy, nasty people. Fortunately, it's a small percentage population. There will always be people who cheat others. Hopefully it's a small percentage. But people are motivated by incentives.
Yeah.
If the state runs something, the only people motivated are the people in charge of the state enterprise, not the people working for them, because they can't get ahead. They can't get somewhere. But the people at the top can grift to do what they want. So they have to understand that. But the left refuses to accept that people have an innate nature, and that is to do what's in their self-interest.
So to your point, years ago, I was at a very, very large trucking company, and one of the dispatchers made a statement, says, "Oh, we love our owner-operators." And the reason why she said that is because they will work very, very hard because they feel like they got a stake in it. They feel like they have their own business.
You have skin in the game.
Yeah.
Right.
So they will work even though they're making less money. And this is what I was referring to earlier when I was talking about working for free, right? Because a lot of owner operators struggle.
Yeah.
But they will work their butts off because they want to be successful. They know they have something at stake here now and they want to win.
Well, it's like corporations that do profit sharing, or the employees are members, they're shareholders. They want the company to succeed because it's in their best interest. People that simply receive a paycheck from a corporation may see that, but most won't see that, and most won't care. What do I care if this company succeeds or fails?
Right.
I mean, I'll get a job somewhere else. But when it's your stake, when it's your skin in the game, you put forth your best effort most of the time, and that's the key. And that's the magic of capitalism. That's why capitalism is so successful. That plus it's the simplicity of it. Supply, demand. Too much supply, no demand. Too much demand, very pricey supply. So, you know, it's a perfect system. You can't legislate communism. It doesn't work.
No.
There's no utopia out there. I mean, look, even in the places of utopia, I watched them zap all the guys in Logan's Run. So it really wasn't a utopia.
Right. Right. No, it's true. And they chased them down when they said, "Hey, we don't want to be killed. We don't want to go into carousel. Leave us alone."
Carousel. That's what it was.
Kill you. Yeah.
Are you going to carousel? Your light turns on. Yeah, you can't live past the age of 30. What a great movie. Jenny Agutter, Michael York. What a great movie, man.
Yeah. Well, a couple of those people, the main actors were actually over 30 anyway while they were playing.
Well, yeah. And then, of course, Peter Ustinov, when they go out and see him, he was ancient. Yeah, no, what a great movie. I mean, I saw that as a kid. I still remember vividly. And Jenny Agutter, she was hot.
Yeah.
And Farrah Fawcett had a cameo as a sex partner in that thing. There was no sex, but she's just like, you know, you flip through and you know, hey, you want to hook up. I was like,
it's kind of like where we're at now with technology, you know, where it's just swipe this way, swipe that way, whatever. It was kind of a precursor, if you will, you know, looking at the future.
I guess the only difference is it's not a hologram in front of you, but you could just, I suppose you could go on to not TikTok, but WhatsApp or something, or Telegram and do it that way.
Right, absolutely. And it's funny as these movies from way back, like Stanley Kubrick's 2001. I mean, just such a great movie that was filmed before you even went to the moon, before we even had Earthrise, if you will, that picture of Earth from the moon, from space. What does it look like? I think that's probably the only thing that they really got wrong in that entire movie. I mean, just what the stuff that they projected. So this is how space travel will work, and now we're finding out, yeah, it actually works that way.
Well, I've always loved science fiction. I've been fascinated with
Yeah.
it. As a kid, of course, you had Star Trek and Lost in Space, stuff like that. But if you think about all the things, Kirk had a communicator. Now we
Yeah.
all got mobile phones. You
Right.
know?
I mean, I
And-
remember back in the day, it was a flip phone, basically the same thing as that they had, right?
And they use a tricorder to do all kinds of medical measurements, stuff like that. Now you got the Cardia Mobile. You can check
Yeah.
your it's an EKG in your fingers. I mean, it's not quite the same as a tricorder, but you get the point. I mean, all
Right.
these. I mean, the only thing I'm a little leery is the transporter. I think I'll pass on that one.
Oh, the
Right. But well, here's the debate: is it still you, or is it a different you at that point? You know what I'm saying? Did you die during that situation and you replicate?
Are your legs the same length? That your ears come out in the right
Yeah.
place?
You're measuring Kirk. Let me see what would happen here.
now that you're crossing this with the Fly, right? Isn't that what happened to him?
Yeah, that's what happened to the Fly.
got
Yeah.
in the thing. Yeah,
Was that
right.
Jeff Goldblum was in the original or
Right.
the second one?
The second one, yeah.
Yeah. And then these movies you see back in the day, like the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I saw that one as a kid. It scared the bejesus out of me. That's a
Oh.
creepy movie. Donald Sutherland was in that, if I remember correctly. Oof.
thing I
Invasion of the
remember about
Body
that is
Snatchers.
the dog with the barking man head or something.
Oh well, barking dog heads. I remember, Mars Invades, and that's what's got
Oh, yeah.
Sarah Jessica Parker on a Chihuahua, her head on a Chihuahua. That was great, man.
No, there was a bit in that because it freaked me out. I don't remember now. I was a little kid when that came out, but yeah, the Invasion of the Body Snatchers was like a dog, but it had a man's head on it, but it was barking at somebody.
But I mean, you go back in time, audiences were so easy, man. People were enthralled by the Blob. Come on,
Right. Oh yeah.
it's just a bunch of petroleum jelly oozing through the streets, man. Calm down.
Yeah, but it was consuming people.
Right.
And
Well,
growing.
that's because they need to wear a sign. They stood around instead of running away.
Yeah. Get away from it.
Here's just, oh, sorry, you don't need it anymore. You've been consumed by the Blob. Let me just exit stage left. Suffering succotash. Exit stage left.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
Cultural references. Yeah. I did one of those today, judge training, and they're asking questions. It was getting late in the day, and I'm like, ooh, Mr. Kata, Mr. Kata. 2 or 3 people laughed. The room had 100 people. I was like, man, these people have no idea what I'm talking about. Oh, my goodness.
Tough crowd.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, they all should have got it. They were older than me. I was a kid
Tugging
when it
at
was
his
on.
collar. I tell you, you can get no respect.
That's right. No respect. No, I can't give no respect. You got to grab the collar. Yeah, Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah, it's funny how guys who make career out of, like he did that, no respect. And of course, Foster
Right.
Brooks, Foster Brooks had made a career out of pretending to be a drunk. I don't even know if the guy even drank. He's pretty good at it, though.
But Rodney Dangerfield, like in the green robe, could just do his shtick back there and make all the comics just laugh and cut up. And he can entertain anybody.
Yeah,
He
no
was
doubt about it.
funny.
Oh
He
yeah.
was really
Yes.
funny back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah, some of these guys really were.
And became famous much later in life, if you will. When most people nowadays, it's you're a teenager or 20 something, but I think he was in his 40s whenever he became really famous.
Yeah. But what, Caddyshack? Didn't he play in Caddyshack?
Yeah, he was in Caddyshack.
And
Yeah.
then he did that one in the mid 1980s, Back to School.
Back to School. Yeah.
That was funny.
The
That
Triple
was
Indy.
good. Easy money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Triple Lindy. He goes and hits all the different diving boards.
But you guys, comedy's making a comeback. We're almost out of time now, but we'll finish this second half if we have to. But comedy's making a comeback. For years now, you couldn't say anything because of political correctness. But we got
Right.
some fantastic comedians now, like Leonardo Joni and Nicholas DeSanto. We'll talk about that next hour, guys. Stick around with us.
There you go.
WSMN 1590. WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at wsmn.live.
ABC News, I'm David Packer. The former Illinois sheriff's deputy charged in the 2024 killing of 34-year-old Sonia Massey after she called 911 has been found guilty of second-degree murder. Sonia's father, James Wilburn, had hoped for a first-degree conviction.
I know that there'll be justice for Sean Grayson, and it might not be in this world, but it'll be in the next one.
Deputy Grayson could now face a sentence of up to 20 years in prison. Massive destruction in Jamaica in the wake of Melissa, the most powerful hurricane ever recorded on the island. The government shut down, bringing a looming crisis for Americans who depend on food aid. Their SNAP benefits are still scheduled to run out Saturday. Hours from now in South Korea, President Trump to meet with Chinese leader Xi. On the table, President Trump's tariffs on Chinese goods, China's restrictions on the export of rare earths, and stopping the flow of fentanyl. The Federal Reserve voted to cut interest rates today by 0.25 percentage point. This is ABC News. Layoffs are underway at Paramount, affecting about 2,000 employees. Competition is revving up in San Francisco as another self-driving taxi company enters the market.
Uber announcing San Francisco and the Bay Area will be its first region for its next-generation autonomous robotaxi program. The robotaxis are set to launch next year, and it's a partnership with a self-driving tech company called Nuro and the EV company Lucid. Already, robotaxis from companies like Waymo fill the streets of San Francisco. In Uber's case, Lucid is making an Uber-exclusive robotaxi vehicle. Uber is aiming to deploy 20,000 of the vehicles in multiple cities in the next 6 years. Alex Stone, ABC News.
A small rescue helicopter trying to check on the welfare of tourists on Mount Everest crashed while landing. Operator Altitude Air says that the pilot survived and no one else was on board. It is not clear why the tourists needed a helicopter. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-859-3220. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-859-3220. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-859-3220 or biglou.com.
Continuing the legacy started in 1904, Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument Incorporated continues to provide the same high-quality monument, custom headstone, and stoneworking craftsmanship today that they built their reputation on over 100 years ago, servicing Nashua, New Hampshire, as well as nearby areas in Massachusetts, such as Lowell, Billerica, Chelmsford, and beyond. From creating custom monuments to memorialize, to landscaping and granite work or restorative services, each job is done to your satisfaction and is backed by decades of experience and integrity. If you're thinking about stonework, think Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument. Visit online at gatecitymonument.com. Stop by and meet Roger at 321 West Hollis Street in Nashua, or call 603-883-7141. That's 603-883-7141. Gate City Monument. Memorials of distinction for people who care.
Memorials of distinction. Once again, Gate City Monuments. I wonder how Roger's doing this week there, John. Hope he's doing well.
Yeah, as do I.
Yeah. You know, they were talking there a few moments ago about, Big Lou. He's on meds too. Sounds like a lot of Democrats. They need to be on meds.
I was cracking up on that one. I heard that.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of one flew over the cuckoo's nest, right? Where they medicate him so heavily that they're just kind of there in person, but their mind's gone. That's not the Dems, though. They're making mindless decisions out there. Maybe they should take meds and get their mind right. I don't know if that would help them.
The Dems are making up the zombie nation.
Somebody like us, if we take medication like that, we're going to be like zombies. But if they take it, maybe they'll put them in the right mind. I don't know. We'll see. Nurse Ratchet, anyone?
You'd like for their minds to go right, but they keep going left.
Right, yeah, going the wrong way.
So we got another case of trafficking of British women, white women, by these people from elsewhere. A Romanian grooming gang led by a winking, smirking pimp have been jailed for raping and sexually abusing 10 women in flats across Dundee. Remember that little girl who was brandishing a machete because this creepy pedo was coming up and trying to get her sister? Well, that was also in Scotland. Yep. So the ringleader, Marian Companosiu, 38, along with Remus Stan, 35, Christian Urlatanu, 41, Catalan Dobra, 45, and Alexandra Buganea, 35, were previously convicted of 30 charges at the High Court in Glasgow. But Companosiu was sentenced to 24 years, Urlatanu to 12 years, Stan to 12 years, or 20 years, then 12 years, Dobra to 10 years, and Bugona to 8 years. And the judge, Lord Scott, said the number of the group deflected and minimized their offending against vulnerable victims. He added, by offering them an unending supply of mostly free crack cocaine, you exacerbated their vulnerabilities and proceeded to exploit them for your own sexual gratification, in some cases for financial gain. No doubt you assume rightly for some time that the drug-related lifestyles these women meant that you were not reported or detected. He said that the gang used the vulnerability of the women to try to attack their credibility in the trial. And the judge said, it may be you thought that no one cared for your victims, meaning you could do whatever you wanted to them without consequences. Right. If so, events have proved you wrong. Each of the women found the strength to give evidence despite their difficulties and have taken steps to move on from that stage of their lives. Wow, that's crazy. So once again, aliens in the midst of the United Kingdom abusing women and girls in that country. It's sick. It went on for decades while the police looked the other way. It reminds me of the German police looking the other way when over 1,300 German women and girls were sexually assaulted and raped during a New Year's festival around the country, covered up by the Bundeskriminalamt intentionally, and Merkel's government trying to hide the fact that they let millions of undocumented people into the country who, many of whom have no respect for women and just think they're objects and just assault them in public. Anyway.
Right. Yep, absolutely. And they did it to themselves by having just open borders or allowing people just to come in there freely. Not checking who's there, not having a true immigration system, kind of like how the left wants to do in our country here.
Well, what they've been doing in our country.
Until January 21st, yeah.
Of course, but I'm talking about we're going to get to the point where we can't even call the police on these illegal immigrants who are raping kids, because they're going to cover up for it. That's where we're going to get.
Well, if the police are either complicit or they don't want to be exposed, then they just start harassing you. Come by and what have you done, and start.
Why are you being such a xenophobe or whatever? You need to stop it. We're going to arrest you.
What Chris read there is they use drugs as an influence to manipulate these girls into this, and that's why it's so important for us to stop our muling and our drug trades here in the United States, because the same thing happens here. People don't want to admit that.
Oh, no, it does. I mean, I know this story. Right. Go ahead. I'll let you go, Todd, then I'll tell the story.
It does, but it doesn't happen with these grooming gangs like they have in the UK. We don't have that problem yet. But we're getting to that point.
Doesn't matter. We have grooming gangs.
Oh, I know. I get it, but not. We've not allowed illegals in here and allowed them to operate with autonomy.
I think the difference. I think the difference here between what happened in the Midlands of the UK, which affected 3,000 or 4,000 young girls, most of them, like 9 to 12 or 13 years old, when they're drug in this stuff. The difference there is that the police knew about it and they turned a blind eye, which basically gave these creeps the green light to rape and sexually assault and prostitute and imprison these girls and then fill them full of alcohol and drugs. Whereas in the U.S., I'm not aware of major rings like this that are undetected or ignored by authorities. Usually we have FBI sting operations going on all the time trying to hunt down human traffickers. It's the Democrats that facilitate human trafficking by allowing our borders to be open.
I can see us getting to that point if we allow them back into power.
Abrigio Garcia was caught doing that, trafficking women among different states. And these gangs, that's what they do. They have affiliations and they move these women around so they don't get settled into a place and start figuring a place out and make an escape. They keep them they keep shuttling them around, exchanging them. It's pretty bad in this country. We just don't want it. It's one of the worst countries in the world for human trafficking. We just won't admit it. NFL, you have a Super Bowl, you have NFL games. They're trafficking them near the stadium, so they're available for these people, for tourists or whatever. It's a horrible thing. And I'm thinking to myself, they're doing this. That should be the prime target to surveil this, to find who's doing this and apprehend them.
Well, it's such a pervasive global corrupt enterprise that it's difficult. But I mean, we had the situation here when I moved back to the States in 2015 that had cropped up publicly known just before that, exposed about the girls from the Toledo area being recruited, groomed, and trafficked and brought to Pennsylvania to work truck stops as prostitutes. And these are 13-year-old girls.
Yes.
It's unreal. It's sickening. That one was busted. And then they got a lot of the people involved.
What's unreal to me is it takes a participant. Right. What I'm saying here is there are people out there that are probably hearing us now that are willing to engage in these activities. Yeah. And they ought to be ashamed of themselves because they're supporting criminal activities or harming individuals of the United States of America, but it's also harming our country as a whole.
Well, and it's not just that. I mean, on an individual basis, an event like this happening to a child, it's one thing to be robbed or physically assaulted or even sexually assaulted as an adult when your mind is formed, your mannerisms are better formed, your defenses, your coping mechanisms there. But a child, I mean, this damages someone potentially for their entire life unless they have a really strong personality and a lot of constitution, which is difficult for kids to do, But imagine this happened to thousands of kids and the police ignored it intentionally because they didn't want to be called racist because the people that are perpetrators were overwhelmingly from South Asia. And so the cowards let it go on for years. And those who spoke out publicly were demonized by the British government and threatened with legal action for telling the truth. It's sick.
Imagine a place like the United States of America where people in positions of high authority, like the President of the United States, turn a blind eye, keep the borders open, engaging in trafficking of children throughout the country. Then the next president is rounding all these children up, finding these. What did he find? He found maybe 25%.
They found 23,000 children that are missing that were trafficked this year alone. Of the 190,000 that the Biden regime lost control over, 230,000, something like that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's sick. It's sick. And we as a people need to stop tolerating this nonsense. Honest to God, we as a people got to start standing
up. I mean, when the president sniffs little girls' hair, I mean, we tolerate a lot.
Yeah, and I hear all those numbers and I hear people, then I hearken back to people say, in case our government becomes tyrannical. And I'm like, it seems to be tyrannical if they're allowing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're saying we're turning into a socialist nation without realizing we've been a socialist nation.
Been a socialist nation for a while.
And
Social Security, the Civilian Conservation Corps, the Tennessee Valley Authority. I mean, you even argue that. Yeah, no, it's true. We've had socialism forever.
It's sure.
It's gotten disgusting too, because like we said, they're inept. They don't handle it well. The concept of Social Security was so that you could retire with dignity, turned into may or may not work to it's actually not working.
No. And people nowadays, and I've seen a lot of people that are about to retire, think that that's their pension plan. I'm like, that's not a pension plan, brother. If you've not been saving and you don't have a pension plan, and you've just been doing an odd job for 30 years, you've kind of screwed yourself if you've not saved.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're going to all have to pay for it.
What's sad is you see people that plan their lives for retirement, and you have deals like what Enron happened, and all these other deals were bad investments or bad management, and they're sitting there looking at it, or was it yellow freight went up, and all these union workers are going, "Hey, that was my retirement, just went out the door." Yeah, you can plan.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Even then, you could be.
I understand.
Yeah, but you got to have responsibility in the planning. You can't just, So, I mean, companies that have 401k plans, they dictate that the employees put their money in the stock of the company. That's illegitimate. It's okay to put some of your money into stock, but every portfolio should be diversified. Yeah. If you're overly dependent on one source of that wealth, you're going to be disappointed. I mean, now, if you're Elon Musk and that source of wealth is SpaceX or Tesla, you're going to be okay because these are almost $1 trillion enterprises. But when you work for a company and you put all your eggs in one basket, that's why I was so angry about Enron, because Enron forced its employees to buy its stock for their 401k plan. And government should not allow that. You should be allowed to buy some, but you shouldn't be allowed to put a preponderance of your money there. Right. You should diversify it and have some of this, some of that. And that's how you ride out these things. But again, the problem is that we have not educated our society. People do not understand the true role of Social Security. It was supposed to help you in a bind.
Yep.
Then it became the concept of retirement. Of course, the King Franklin's court of jesters, that known as the executive branch, sold this as not a tax, and that's how they got approved, because you can't tax people for that. At the Supreme Court, they agreed it wasn't a tax, but then when the challenge came up again, they claimed it is in fact a tax. The government has the power to tax, and therefore we can tax Social Security, even though it's not. They claimed it was a retirement plan, which is not. Anyway, it's just such a mess. There's no money in the fund. Every penny paid out is coming from somebody's income today. It's no nest egg, and the number of people in the workforce continues to decline.
Right.
It's just it's a recipe for absolute disaster, and that's what it's going to be at some point. In 1986, Reagan and the Congress doubled the rate of taxation for Social Security, and we're still in a mess because they spent all the money. They take the excess revenue that comes in, instead of putting it into an investment or a national sovereign wealth fund, they put it in the general treasury and they waste it and they bury us in debt. So they spend all the surplus from Social Security, plus they spend more, and they claim the debt's barely there. They're just a bunch of frauds.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sick of it.
Yeah, fraud. We just crossed over $38 trillion debt. I mean, talk about frauds. They can't stop the deficit spending. Now we're $38 trillion. Well, they got the whole government held up as hostage. People may not be getting checks next week because the left wants another $1.2 trillion on top of the $38 trillion we're in debt for, so they can cover the subsidies of Obamacare. Okay.
Well, John, Todd and I aren't getting paid.
Right. That's true. A couple of days,
I
I won't
understand.
get paid.
I think you might be prepared for it and be able to handle it for a short period of time, and
Yes.
you'll enjoy the back pay because that will come. I know that.
Sure.
But what happened? Because they didn't used to do this before. Veterans got their pay, military got their pay, and Social Security checks got cut when we've had previous shutdowns. So why is it different this time?
There was no repercussions at that point. Now, all of a sudden, there's greater stakes at hand, I think.
Well, and there's only ever been one lockdown that went through an entire pay period for military, 1 month pay period. I know some people get paid mid-month, but what they don't realize is they're just getting paid for what happened 6 weeks ago.
Right.
Because you're paid in arrears. So at the beginning of November, you get paid for October. If you get mid-month in November, that means you're getting half the money you didn't get in October. You're only getting half it on the first. And they don't think about that. I guess some people like to be paid twice a month. But the point is that it's never gone beyond 34 days. This is only the second time. We're not there yet. We're at 29 days. But the rate we're going to be beyond 34. But I think the Democrats will collapse in the end.
They're going to have to. We don't have the money to spend, so they're going to have to make adjustments elsewhere. This comes out of that. It's got to be responsible some way or another. If you don't have the revenue streams, you can't spend more than you're taking in. That's just simple stuff. And they second grader can figure that out, right?
Are you smarter than a fifth grader?
But I think Republicans are probably going to have to throw some small win to the Dems for them to get them all to the table, or get enough to the table just to get it wrapped up, get the government back open. Throw some win. That way they can pretend like they got something out of it. Whatever, the government's back open, we can move forward.
What they've been trying to do is, I think they've been trying to make some adjustments for what you're talking about, to make sure that people are getting paid so they don't suffer from this. And even the Dems held out on that and voted that.
Of course they did.
Well, that was voted down too. But see, as I don't recall if I said in this program, but the Democrats have now voted down 13 times the flat spending bill. During the Biden regime, in that 4 years, they put continuing resolutions, 13 of them, they voted all of them in. So the exact same thing that they gave to Biden, they refused to give to Trump. It's pure politics. It's utter nonsense. And it's going to backfire them. A lot of Americans are much better informed than they used to be. And they're taking heat right now. The largest union representing state or federal employees has told them to capitulate, to go sign a deal with the Republicans. It's only going to mount as 42 million people go without food stamps on Friday. Those of us retired from the military will not get our pay on Friday, because you get paid the last day of the month if the first is on a weekend or a holiday. So we're not going to get paid. Active duty military, the air traffic controllers are already boycotting, not show up for work. They're giving sick days. And this is what I say to them: fire every one of them that does that. Every one of them. They don't have a doctor's note. Just fire them, because that's what Reagan did, and he was right, and you'd be right to do it too. These people have no right to hold our nation hostage because of their personal parochial interests.
Right. Absolutely. What we should be doing is holding the Democrats responsible at this point. I mean, pure and simple.
Well, we should, but their propaganda machine is pretty effective.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's up to the people, man. They need to be calling their Democrat leaders and tell them
we
get
the
your
people
act
should
together.
be doing that. But you got elections in Virginia and New York, and just like next week, right?
Pennsylvania, everywhere on the first Tuesday of the month.
Right.
November.
Next week, for crying out loud. And people are still thinking about voting for Democrats. I mean, you got to think about this. This is as a result of their policies and their actions here.
No, absolutely. That's but the Democrats think they're winning this thing. They're not. The public is not happy. And
No.
wait until people go without a paycheck and food stamps on the first of the month. That's not going to be pretty. And what they're doing is creating a logjam because things aren't getting done.
Well, the bad thing is here, guys, is they're required by their own laws that they've written that they're supposed to have a balance by April 15th of every year. And what they did this year, like they do every year, is they do a reconciliation and not reconciliation. What was it? Resolution, yeah. But they staged it. They didn't really do a balanced budget. They didn't do a budget. They just staged it up for throughout the year. And that's why we're doing continuing resolutions, is because they don't do their job in the first place. If they did their job and they balanced the budget every year, like responsible people would, then we wouldn't be in these situations. As Congress is failing us constantly, time and time again.
Yeah,
I agree.
Can't argue with that. Congress lets us down over and over and over again. Yep. Hey, can we go back to the Islamic fascists in chief? Can we talk about that for a moment?
Sure.
I've got the comments from Mommy Dearest, talking about Zoran Mamdani. She said he's a total desi. He's very much us, Indian. He's not an American at all. He was born in Uganda, raised between India and America. He is at home in many places. He thinks of himself as Ugandan and as an Indian. Well, then why does he want to be mayor of New York City? You're not American. Just saying.
Must be a good paying job.
Well, it is. Also, this is all part of the tip of the spear for how they're trying to pervert and turn this country. They've already given it away to so many people that shouldn't even be here.
Yep.
So, what are you going to do?
Absolutely. And if people talk about, the Constitution and, it matters. It only matters that the people you elect, it matters to them. Other than that, it's just a piece of paper. If they don't respect it, it's nothing to, honestly.
100%. I agree with 100%. Did you see that Trump eliminated the entire Biden-appointed design commission?
Yeah.
What's the design commission? You might be asking.
No clue.
Well, it was the arts and something, right? Arts. It was a commission. It was the arts and something commission, and they
Arts
were
Humanities
Commission of Fine Arts.
Commission of Fine Arts. That's it.
Yep. Anyway, 6 members of the board were notified by an email. Well, that's a tough way to find out you don't have a job anymore. Email. Ooh.
That's why you get business gets done these days. We're cold-hearted. Email it is. This isn't like Cheers. Remember Norman Cheers when he would have beers and cry with them about getting fired? He was the guy who got to fire everybody.
No, but this is not cool. This is not cool. Anyway, So what I mean by not being cool is how the media is carrying the water for this. I have no problem with Trump firing these guys from the commission.
Yeah, no problem.
Why I didn't even know we had this commission, to be quite honest.
There's a lot of commissions out there that you don't know about.
I know there's a lot of stuff out there. There's the left-handed, stepsister commission.
Yeah,
there's a lot of government. That's the problem.
Red-handed stepsister, red-haired left-handed stepsister commission. There you go.
I had a link last Trump administration. It had all the different jobs that the president has appoints someone to, and if it was a printed book, it'd probably be that thick. I mean,
there's I think for the immediate Senate confirmation appointments, it's like 3,700, 3,900 or something.
Yeah,
it's 4,300.
A lot of them were just voted on, just
right,
by,
right. But there's also a lot that he appoints that don't require congressional. They are considered officers in the United States.
Different schedules and stuff. Yeah, right.
Yeah, those people are officers in the United States. So, it's a lot. I mean, because when I think maybe one of you guys finally got me the link to when they were trying to find people at the Trump administration, and I knew about it, but I had never been inside the database. So I'm like, okay, what about this? What about this? There's so many jobs in there.
Oh, when you file for a position.
Yeah.
Yeah, through the GAO or GSA.
I forget what it was, but I mean, I looked into it when Trump came in earlier this year.
I think I sent that to you so you could apply to be an ambassador to Africa.
I did, and in fact, I did, along with what else did I put in there? There was in the State Department Undersecretary for African Affairs, and then under Assistant Secretary for African Affairs and Undersecretary for African Affairs in the Department of Defense. I put about 6 jobs in there, and of course, I haven't heard from them. The problem is that I'm too honest and too vocal. They don't want me.
You're not a yes man.
Well, to get the upper echelon stuff, you have to be in that orbit, or
You've got to
be,
have given millions of dollars, which
oh,
is not gonna
that
happen.
absolutely, or be in that orbit of everybody who's in his camp. I mean, you don't just slide into
not
that.
just that; it's also being part of the party and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
Chris
well,
is
not even
like
the party.
judge of
This
elections, but
is
that's not deep entrenched into the party, right?
no,
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 it's
no,
nothing to do with the
no.
party. It's nonpartisan,
No.
totally. So, and
Right.
it's not something I necessarily want to do, but someone put my name on the ballot, so I'll probably win.
So you're up again this time.
Yes, Tuesday my name is on the ballot. And it's not arrogance of me saying I'll probably win. 67% of the voters in this congressional district for the state are Republican. In my precinct, probably 75 to 80% of the voters are Republican. So you run as a Republican candidate, I've got the nomination. I mean, people are going to check my name. We'll see how it goes. I mean, all I need is one vote if there's no other candidate, but I mean, not that I want it, but let's talk next week how it went. But yeah, next week I'll probably be a little bit tired because maybe not. I do the election until by the time I turn the results in, I get home about 11:30 every election night, if things go well.
Right.
Yes, and that's after working since 6 a.m. So it's a long day.
So
Should be interesting.
Sean wants to know why it is congressional members get their paychecks while people who aren't even in positions of making legislations or in control of the situation do not get paid. That'd probably be because they're in such a position every year when they want to give themselves a pay raise, they can just drop a gavel and say, "We all get 15%, yay!"
Well, yeah, it is a different branch of government.
They,
of course,
they favor themselves quite well.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's
And
the only reason I can give you, Sean.
Congress controls the purse strings, so they're going to put anything in there to make sure they keep getting paid.
They take care of themselves quite well. They don't care about the rest of us. Trust me. I mean, Tuskegee experiment and MK Ultra, and these aren't just conspiracy theories anymore, folks. This is true stuff.
Right. Real stuff. Giving people syphilis, LSD, all this stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, involuntarily testing on people during MK Ultra. Can you imagine? Being a citizen of the United States of America and be abducted into some experiment that you didn't even sign up for.
How many people died as a result, or committed suicide,
or just mental anguish the rest of their lives? And that's crazy, man. But you don't even know what they're spraying on you for testing. I've heard stories about, they might drop stuff in certain areas or counties or whatever to see the results of something. It's nuts.
Man, quit being so sensitive. In the 1930s and 40s and 50s, kids went to public swimming pools and they got sprayed down with DDT. What are you being such a coward for?
Yeah, and only died of cancer 30 years later, right?
Did you ever see any of those videos from like that time? They show these kids gleefully running through the DDT spray. That was crazy.
Yeah, I hate to tell you, in the 70s, I was probably one of those kids that were spraying for mosquitoes, and we thought it was cool. Like, hey, man, big fog machine. Yeah, I'll probably have lung cancer here in a couple of years.
Well, Todd, now we understand a lot more.
Right. As he was eating his little paint chips, he was eating paint chips, running through DDT. Yeah.
There was nothing like sitting outside next to the house picking up
enjoying a little snack of paint chips.
Guys, in interest of full disclosure, John grew up in poverty. They couldn't afford potato chips, so they ate paint chips.
I did grow up in poverty, thank you. Thanks to the United States government. Yeah, we were pretty poor for a long time.
Oh my goodness. Pretty scary stuff there. Hey folks, once again, you're listening to the Common Sense Conservatives right here on WSMN 95.3 on the FM dial, 1590, excuse me. That's another radio station I worked at. 1590 on your AM dial. Yeah, it's like WMPO, Middleport, Pomeroy, Ohio. That's where the 1390, but 1590. Thanks for tuning in and joining us every Wednesday evening. We come at you live from our studio in Nashua, New Hampshire, remotely located in East Tennessee, somewhere in the hills where Daniel Boone once upon a time roamed, is Todd McKinley. And then John Grosvenor up there in the studio in Nashua, New Hampshire. I'm Chris Wyatt in central Pennsylvania. It's every Wednesday, folks, 7 to 9 p.m. And we do have a global audience. A lot of people tune in on our social media accounts and watch them from around the world, particularly folks from my audience from South Africa who like to jump in here. And I think it's kind of interesting to have a global audience, guys, especially the South Africans. They pop in and they ask interesting questions every now and then. It comes in our chat about things, that are maybe a little alien to them because their system of governance is different. Mm-hmm. And, given the perilous state of civics education in our society, probably not a bad idea. We talk about those things and answer their questions. What do you think, Todd?
100%.
Oh, I thought you were muted for a second. Your mouth was moving and nothing was coming
No,
out.
Todd's multitasking, but his buffer's full.
No. It was muted. I was bringing something up real quick. I got to send to somebody. Sorry. But yeah, you're absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, in the last hour before we went to the break, I said we're going to talk about those comedians. I don't know if people heard. I mean, look, these aren't comedians you listen to in good company. Number one, of course, is Leonardo Joni, originally from New York, now living in Austin, Texas. She is not politically correct. Have you ever heard her, John? Oof, man.
I can't think I have.
So she's up on stage and she invites guys up. It's like, an improv club. She says, come on up, guys. So it's like 3 or 4 guys up. Obviously, the comedian's going to ask them questions. And so right out of the gate, she looks at the guy next to her and says, so what do you do for a living? And he said, what did he say was? I can't remember what it was. But she just says, oh, that's just so gay. I mean, you can't say that today, and it was so funny. So she's hilarious. And then you also got DeSanto. That guy's pretty funny, too. He is an Italian who lives in the UK, but now lives in America, and he's just excoriating the British government for some of the stupid stuff they got going on. Pretty crazy stuff. Anyway, but it's interesting because for a long time, the only comedian that was really saying it like it is was Dave Chappelle. And he was the only one that was bulletproof from the political left. They couldn't hurt him, but all the other comics went silent, and comedy died. I mean, you turn. I don't watch it, but I see the clips of Kimmel and these other idiots on late night. They're not even remotely funny because they're afraid to hurt people's feelings, feelings.
Yeah, I remember I was looking at it and analyzing it one day. I'm thinking, wow, the only place you can go with being really edgy and saying colorful things is comedy. People could say some pretty dicey things on stage at a comedy club, and even those that have a certain race that they might be saying it about would be laughing about it. Oh, that's true, it's so funny. But nowadays, man, they say one thing wrong, and it's like, boo, we're done with you, and we're going to persecute you for the rest of your life. And dude, it was just a joke. Get over it.
But these guys are showing that you can still do edgy comedy, and it's hilarious, and people get it. I mean, it's not like the kind of foul stuff, even if it isn't said, like Andrew Dice Clay. Jack and Jill went up the hill, and Jill came back with $1.25.
$2.50, yeah.
And there's
each
more
with
to that.
$1.25. Jill came back with $2.50.
That's right. There you go. There's Andrew Dice Clay. Yeah, that's there you go. That's perfect. Actually, you got a better memory than I do on that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, comedy just died. It died before COVID. It was styled. It was boring. These guys, Leonardo Joni, she's amazing. She's hilarious. And she just calls it like it is. So funny. And then DeSanto, the guy, he's just really funny too. And he beats up on the UK. He was telling jokes, and he was talking about the Irish comedy writer that got arrested because he did an anti-trans thing on X when he flew back from the States, and he talked about the stuff he says, and his stuff is a little more edgy than what Linehan said. Anyway, but it's good to see that people can laugh again. You don't see a lot of this. Comedy, like I said, just died. Nobody's been funny for a long time. But I remember growing up, we had all these funny comedians. Richard Pryor was hilarious. Red Fox was funny.
Yeah.
You had Garp. What's his name?
Robin Williams.
Who really must have been going through.
Oh, that guy had his act together. He was good.
He was the king of improv, man. That guy was amazing. He just riffed from one thing to the other. A guy that didn't have the same kind of energy, but much slower delivery, but really a funny guy who is also a master of improv is Colin Mockery. That guy's fantastic. If you ever seen him, that guy's really fantastic.
I don't think I have, but of course, classic George Carlin.
Yeah.
Of course, local here in New England was just as much cynical and sarcastic. God, what's his name? There, he became an actor and stuff. Dennis Leary.
Larry. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Larry, yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. People forget he was a comedian.
Yeah, right.
He was good.
He was big on MTV there for the longest time. He would do those little commercials between videos and stuff like that, right? I think he had his own show too, right? Anyway, he had a number of sitcoms later on. So
he did a lot of good stuff. He was interesting.
I mean,
Rescue Me was good.
Yeah, I liked it the first couple of seasons, but it kind of, I don't know, I lost it for me after that. But I thought it was good in the beginning. But, we've had good comics, but I mean, it's been clean comedy, like Bill Engvall and Jeff Foxworthy, Larry the Cable Guy, a little bit more edgy, and then Ron White right off the edge of the chart there.
Mr. Got a whiskey in my hand every time I'm on stage.
And a cigar in the other hand. Yeah.
He told good stories. Tater salad.
Yeah, tater salad. You got me. You got the tater salad. Yeah,
We got you, tater salad.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
got my
that's
son tater tot.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
yeah. Mel Brooks movies. Yeah, what was his name there? Gene Wilder.
Yeah, classic. Yeah, Gene Wilder, Blazing
Well,
Saddles.
he did a lot of stuff with Richard Pryor.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did.
classic. Yeah,
They were
Hear
good
No Evil, See
together.
No Evil. Yeah, lot of great movies. Those two together.
But I mean, we had some good comedy, but it wasn't the edgy stuff. The edgy stuff you kind of need every now and then. It pushes the boundaries of what's acceptable, but it's still funny, and that's kind of what I'm seeing a rebirth of now. And it's really, I think, encouraging because comedians are so important, especially if they're really good. They're so important to a society. So
If you think about it, what you're saying. Oh, go ahead. You were going to say something.
No, I have a friend. It's just surprise. I have a friend. I have a friend who's one of the most famous comics in South Africa. His name is Barry Hilton. And in fact, I was chatting with him today because I was checking on his health. He had some health issues a few months back. And he thought I was in South Africa. He's like, Chris, you got to come over for a braai. It's a barbecue. You got to come over for a braai. How much longer you in country? I'm like, Barry, I'm sorry, man. I was just checking in. I need to make sure you're okay. I'm in Pennsylvania. It's going to be a long trip to come for that barbecue tonight. But that was really nice. But his is very clean humor too. But it's very different, and it's suited to a Southern Africa audience because he grew up in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe. But Barry Hilton's a very funny guy. He has this thing about how everybody's connected, so he calls everybody his cousin. So I ended my things when I said, good to hear from you, my cousin today. He's Barry Hilton. He's well known. He's played in Vegas, and he's huge there. He's played in London, and of course in Southern Africa. Really funny guy, Barry Hilton. Some people. And it's funny because some comedians, they obviously have something that's not quite, I don't want to say not right, but I think you know what I mean. Something that's a little bit off, that's different about them. Robin Williams obviously had a side to him that really affected what he was. But Barry's the same way. Barry's got like OCD. He can't focus for like a second. So he's all over the place and he's constantly doing stuff. And that's all part of his act. And it's fascinating. I've interviewed him twice. I've interviewed him online. I've interviewed him in person in South Africa my last trip, and I've been invited to his son's soccer game, which is pretty cool. Even though I can't find soccer is boring to me, but it was nice to go to that. but no, comedians they're a different breed. And a friend of mine who's an American who lives in South Africa opens for Barry occasionally. He's from Joe Emilio. What was that? Joe Emilio, Antichrist. Yeah. Joe Emilio, he's an American comedian in South Africa. But I had a little bone to pick with Joe last time I was there. He opened for Barry, and he sort of had some of these, pick on America jokes because the South African audience laughed hard. I think it was just kind of backup in case his routine wasn't going the direction he wanted to go. But I gave him a hard time. But it was good stuff. Comedy is important. I think people sell short how important comedy is and how much you miss it when it's not there.
So, yeah, that's what I was going to say earlier is people who went through hard times, the Depression, World Wars, Korea, Vietnam, they always found relief in comedy. They made fun of their own circumstances and stuff. They were good time people back in the day. I like to think of my wife's parents, people my father's age and stuff like that. They went through difficult times and they made light of it and they dealt with it. It was a coping mechanism for them. The same way, like say the blues was to people that dealt with difficult times, or country music, Tear My Beer stuff. And so, yeah, it was like a coping mechanism, but people also found each other in it. It was a gathering point. You laughed about it. You went to work the next day and said, hey, did you catch that act? You shared the internet like you do a football game or something.
Well, I mean, it takes us back to time. If we go back to like the 1990s, 80s, Cheers in the 80s, Seinfeld in the 90s, and Friends, and people go gather around the water cooler at work, and that's what you talk about. Even if you didn't watch the show, you knew everything happened because somebody was telling a story around the water cooler, and you got it through osmosis, just kind of sunk in. But with people working remotely, I can't work next to this person because they're straight and they're trans. I can't work. With all that nonsense going on, it seemed to have lost that in a lot of our workplace, and it's a shame. But comedy really is such a key component of our I think our good mental health. I really think that's true. It's just it can just be so funny, and it can even be, I look back to the Jeffersons and Sherman Helmsley. My goodness, this stuff he said was racist.
Oh,
but it was.
He was the counterpart to Archie Bunker. Yeah,
right. He was the flip side of the coin. It was just as big a bigot as Archie was. It was so hilarious. Like, remember his son-in-law, or his daughter-in-law is the product of a mixed marriage, and
Tom and Helen, the neighbors.
Always calling his daughter-in-law like a zebra, man. Like, well, you can't say that stuff. What's up with you? Oh my goodness. It's like, you can't use certain phrases. You can't like, Hey, listen here, boy. You can't say that unless you do Foghorn Leghorn. I'll say, boy. I said, listen here, boy. Then you can do it Foghorn Leghorn. But no, comedy is really, I mean, it's maybe that's what we need more comedy. And Trump is like a master comedian too. The guy's hilarious. I love how he is just trolling on this whole, I'm running for president 3 times. Well, actually 4 times, but he
knows how to play off that stuff. He really does.
He does. It reminds me of, and I'll mess this up, but I'll do my best, of the debate between Mondale and Reagan, in which Reagan talking about Reagan's age, and Reagan says something like, "I won't hold age against." If my opponent won't hold my age against me, I won't hold his youth and immaturity against him.
Yeah,
youth and inexperience.
Right.
That was like, that won him the election. That one statement. I mean, there's no doubt that
that election was a landslide. The only state Mondale got was Minnesota.
Yeah, it was from Minnesota.
Yeah, if you remember Mondale at that moment, he put his head down and just shook his head because he's
it's over
at that point. Yeah,
it's over. Yeah. In fact, he said that later. I knew the race was over, but he just walked right into it because he started talking about Reagan's age, because that's what all that. Reagan's too old. He can't do this. It's like
youth and inexperience.
That's pretty good. If you won't hold my age against me, I won't hold his youth and experience against him. That was classic, man. That's how you disarm people. Yes. I mean, that's how you just you dissipate. It's anyway. It's I miss that. I do, and I've been watching these comedians lately. And they're just, I mean, I've been in stitches. I've almost had to go to the bathroom a couple times. They're just so funny.
That's referred to as diffusion. He diffused the circumstance where he's trying to put him down, and he diffused it by turning it around on him and saying, "Well, you know what? There's a counter to this."
Well, Reagan was probably the best I ever saw at that from a public figure. He could disarm people. He could turn that bad situation around in a heartbeat most of his time until the Alzheimer's started affecting him.
He was quick-witted. He really was. Like that time that balloon popped. And I don't think it was staged. Like some people might accuse it of being staged.
No,
they had balloons set up to drop out of the ceiling at the end of his speech. And one of them popped unexpectedly, and he saw him stop. And he goes, "You missed."
That was great. No, but I mean, even if it's not comedy, the reaction of leaders in the moment really matters. When Donald Trump was shot in the head and he stood up and raised that fist and said, fight. I mean, that is an iconic moment. If it wasn't for leftist media, we would have bronze statues of that already. We would have figurines. It would be such an iconic part of our culture. But because the left controls Hollywood, the left controls the media and the newsrooms, we're not going to see that, which is a shame. Whether you like Trump or not, you should be proud of the courage the man had to stand up, not even knowing if the shooter had been neutralized. He gets back up, fight, making himself a target again, driving the Secret Service just bat crap crazy. They weren't happy. He's like, get on the ground, sir. And then, of course, the tubby walrus is there that can't pass the PT test.
Right.
Secret Service agents, they couldn't even be bothered to lift their arms up. It was sad.
They couldn't cover him. He was standing there. They're like leaning on him and stuff. They couldn't cover him. They were
he had the one that had her little pistol out, and I'm like, your little pistol's not going to do much in this situation.
The one that could reholster it.
Yeah, couldn't reholster.
She kept missing her holster. I mean, oh my gosh.
At this point, it's best to just get your body on the man, not worry about your pistol at this point. There's other officers that handle that.
Your job also the mission. That's the mission.
Yeah, your
cover
job
the president. Yes.
Yeah, as a personal security detachment, whatever, Secret Service, your job is to get your principal the heck out of there, not to sit there and return fire.
Well, I think he knew he was pretty much diffused because you heard him say, "Let me get my shoes."
He was
went down. He fell out of his shoes.
The special agent in charge was on the radio. He could hear that target was down, neutralized.
Yeah,
because he wasn't going to let him up until he knew he was down.
Correct.
Because he was behind.
Let me get my shoes.
Because he was behind the podium, and the podium there's armor that's. I shouldn't go into that, but obviously, there's armor right around
him.
Yeah. So if something happens, he can just drop down, and there's armor right there.
So let me ask you this question back to the comedians, because we kind of strayed from that, not to get too far from it. But one of the viewers watching the program, not on the radio, but watching it on the internet, mentioned Andy Kaufman. Let me ask you guys this. What's your opinion of Andy Kaufman? I mean, he died very young as a comedian. Any thoughts on that? From Taxi, of course.
Right.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I didn't Man on the Moon. They did the whole.
Yeah.
I didn't have opinion on one way or the other. I just remember from Taxi, and I didn't know him any other way, so I didn't have an opinion.
He was before my time, but I knew him through reruns, and of course, I think the shtick got a little long, if you will. He stayed with the act a bit much.
Yeah, look, I mean, he was considered a comic genius, and when he offed, a
Minnie
lot of people
Mouse. He did the Minnie Mouse thing.
yeah, but people they really thought. I remember he was like a comedic genius. They said, and I watched him on Taxi, and I saw him also in a couple other things. But I mean, it's always like, I mean,
Right.
it's like it got. I mean, I'm not trying to diss Andy Kaufman, and he's
Right.
gone, but I mean, I didn't get it. I didn't get the connection there. Yeah, some of these people that they like, Lily Tomlin was not funny.
No, not funny at all. She just run her mouth. And I hate the right. And everybody on the right.
Yeah.
Whatever. She had maybe one moment. That was it. Andy Kaufman had one moment.
Well, I mean, someone that was in times changed, someone that was very popular and considered very funny from a slapstick comedy, but I never found her. I mean, she's a nice lady and she's talented, but I never thought she's funny. Ruth Buzzy. I never thought she was entertaining. But was that before Todd's time, John?
I'm trying to think who Ruth Buzzy is myself.
Ruth Buzzy, she's always one of the women that wore the frumpy stuff and had like the hairnet over her head, and she used to beat guys up.
Yeah. Well, that's just shtick that maybe works in one bit, but it doesn't work on everything.
But the thing that surprised me is that some people that weren't comedians could really deliver comedic lines. And you see that play out if you watch Dean Martin roast.
Oh yeah,
the Dean Martin roasts are really good.
A good actor can if they have good timing, they can be comedic for sure. Good actors can be like Tom Cruise is not a comedian, but he can be funny as heck. Because he has timing.
Yeah. So you're talking about people. You got diversified comedians and stuff that can change it up, and these people just basically like Bobcat Goldthwait. He got kind of typecasted in that one character, and he got stuck there. He never really changed it up.
It's funny, after all that time, he went into producing, doing a few other things, and he's come out in the recent years doing stand-up again. He's like, the first time I came out doing stand-up again a couple of years ago, everybody thought I was just going to come out and start going, he's like, I speak normal, just so you know.
I speak normal.
I speak normal.
Well, I mean, some of these people are multi-talented. I mean, whether you like them or not, multi-talented. Like Ellen DeGeneres, she's a very talented comedian, and she's a talk show host, done very well. And you see that, but not all of them have those skills. But I mean, it's nice when they have it. But I mean, again, back to comedy. I mean, we need lighthearted moments, and there's nothing wrong with some of the edgy comedy. I remember
we should make fun of ourselves too at times. Don't take ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. I think Trump does it all the time. I do the same thing. I was actually called a narcissist by one of my viewers on my show. I'm like, did you look behind me on the wall? Is there anything there? You don't even see my name up there anywhere. Well, actually, you do. If you look at my YouTube plaque, but I mean, it's so small you can't see it on screen. So, and it's not. I told you, I was gonna blow that thing apart with a 12 gauge when I finally got it because it's so angry at YouTube. But then I realized,
plaque? I never even heard of it.
Oh yeah, YouTube plaques. When you get to 100,000 subscribers, you get a silver plaque. And if you get to 1 million, you get a gold plaque. By the way, if you have one of these, you are one of the top 1% on the planet in YouTube. So anyone with one of these plaques falls in the top 1% of content creators. So you get it for 100,000. They're cheap though. This used to be 3 times the size. It was heavier. This is cheap aluminum. It's like not even aircraft grade aluminum.
It's for recognition. It's not for
Yeah, but I was so angry at YouTube. I told people, I said, if I ever get it, I'm just going to go out in the woods with a 12 gauge and blow it apart, and I'm going to video film it and then place it on YouTube. And then I'll put.
You'd probably got your gold plaque if you'd done it.
Well, the problem is YouTube. You use firearms now; they censor you all the time. So you got to be careful.
Oh, that's right.
But then I realized
kind of weak.
Yeah, they go back and forth. And then I forgot that I thought about it and I said, you know what? That's not for me. That's for the 100,000 plus people subscribe to my channel. That's a recognition for them that they all join here. And
so you keep it to honor them.
Exactly. So, I mean, so the only I love me thing behind me is that. It's not an I love me thing. It's a reflection of my audience. I mean, the Army veteran license plate you see on the bookshelf is what there's a couple million other Army veterans. Not like it's unique,
right?
Oh yeah,
including Todd.
Well, I do like the rugby balls you got up there. Or I was going to say footballs. Rugby balls.
They're rugby balls. That's what you call them. But yeah, there's a couple limited editions. One of them is one of only 500 ever produced, and they both commemorate Rugby World Cup. Both of those up there are from 2019 Rugby World Cup in France, cool. in Japan. I also have one for 2023. That's over here. It's not up on the shelf right now, but this replicates it. It's for South Africa. Springboks on one side, and then they have all the games that they played. The pool stages, the quarterfinals, semifinals, final. Yeah. So this is also these. I don't think this is a limited edition, but this one's. So I've got it from both of those. Anyway,
That's pretty cool, though. Yeah, tuck it
that's
away.
cool. Well, what I do is with stuff like that, I wait till they have a glut of them and wait months later, and then they try to get rid of them. They sell them for a song. That's why I have so many.
Right. That's what you got to do.
I'm a frugal shopper.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I got several Irish football jerseys, I guess you want to call it, and I got those on sale as well. I waited. I didn't get them right up front. I waited.
No, well, I mean, there's a new Irish rugby jersey coming out because they're playing against New Zealand this weekend on the 1st in Chicago. Ireland and New Zealand should be huge. Past games in Soldier Field have sold out or done quite well. So they've got a new like warm-up shirt. It's a really cool pattern on it for Ireland, and I'd like to get it, but it's $129, and so I'm not sure I want to do that.
So when we were talking about comedians, James says he's sorry to say, but he doesn't like or can't like the Three Stooges. And so what were their names? Larry, Curly, and Moe. He also had the stand-in Shemp and Joe.
Shemp, Joe, yeah. Curly Joe, yeah.
That was it, Curly Joe, yep.
Yeah,
I kind of like the Three Stooges. They were slapstick, but they were back in their day. They were classics. I mean, it was silliness.
Yeah, and I think you got to give them credit because they made everything look like it was so real. Even today, you watch it, it's like, man, that looks real. You know?
Yeah, really. I mean, getting hit in the head and stuff, and the way they did their shtick. Yeah,
sure.
But Three Stooges to me today is probably going back and watching Looney Tunes. You know, my wife's throwing it on the TV to leave it running for the dogs, and I can stand there and watch a little bit of the Looney Tunes, but it's going to get old really fast. It's just you outgrew it.
Well. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. As a grown man in his 50s, you'd hope so. But they're classics to me. And Three Stooges, it's, same thing. You watch a little bit. You don't watch it all day.
No. Yeah, you need a little break every now and then, a little escape from the nonsense.
Yeah.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah. Those guys led some lives, too, back in the day. You realize it was depression and stuff. They used to go golfing, and they dressed really nice offset.
Right.
Yeah, they had some lives, and Larry, he actually used to pull his hair back and stuff. It wasn't always sticking up like that.
No, Larry. Yeah. He just put stuff in it, pull it out. Yeah. Yep.
So guess who was here in Pennsylvania?
Who's that?
Well, he was here today. I have to say that I met him in person at O'Hare a couple years ago. As I came out,
Pence?
No. But Pence was. I just met him on the most recent trip. What the heck is my coin at? I haven't looked for that recently. I forgot to look for that. But I met this guy a couple years ago. He's a famous celebrity and an athlete. It's not Michael Jordan. I was coming through O'Hare and right in the middle of the airport where the junction is where you go through and go down the steps. This guy comes through and he's putting his stuff back on because he went through security. And I said, "Hey, how you doing, Mike? How you doing, man?
Yeah.
How you doing, man?" Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson was in Pennsylvania today. He is lobbying for legalization of marijuana.
Oh,
so he comes to Pennsylvania to do that. It's like,
there's an effort to legalize it here. So,
yeah.
Boxing legend Mike Tyson visited Harrisburg today to lobby for marijuana legalization, hoping to break the gridlock on the issue in the state legislature. The former world heavyweight champion and current cannabis mogul met with state lawmakers in the Capitol to advocate for reform, saying he'll continue to do so until it becomes legal, registered, and people stop getting sick off cannabis that is unregulated and of low quality. Well, Mike, I got to tell you. You know what he says? He says that he's a personal and financial interest in this. He said he credited marijuana with helping get clean of hard drugs.
Okay.
Yeah, he said he also started his own line of marijuana products under his brand Tyson 2.0, including THC-laced gummies shaped like Evander Holyfield's bitten ear.
That is funny. You got to cut Evander in for a cut.
That's messed up. Yeah. Anyway, so
they patched it up though after that. That's kind of cool that they got. Together, you know.
Yeah. I mean, look, crazy things happen. Woody Hayes punched a football player in the throat.
Yeah. Woody Hayes was wearing straight bill hats before straight bill hats were cool. Woody
exactly.
Hayes
back in the Gator Bowl in 1970. I was watching that game live. I'm like, what the heck? Yeah.
And I think that's why he got fired because it was on TV, right?
Yeah, he got fired for that.
Yeah, because it was on television. Had it not been on television, he probably wouldn't have fired him from Ohio State.
Yeah, but it's a bowl game. So, it's back in that day. That's what it took. So you're absolutely right about that. But so Mike Tyson's in PA trying to legalize weed. That's the last thing we need, man. By the way, I know he's a checkered history. He's convicted of things in prison time, but he was a really nice guy to talk to. He was very polite. I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time with him. But yeah, I find
I've heard that about Mike Tyson, that
Yeah.
as he got older in life, he found a greater respect for life. In his youth, he was pretty hostile and aggressive.
well, he grew up in less than ideal circumstances, and aggression is how he survived. and
People
also
took
his-
advantage of him like crazy.
Also,
Yeah,
at a young
that's
age, promoters pushed him, to be
Yeah.
violent in the ring, and so I mean, he's in some ways he lived out a personality. The only thing I don't understand about Mike Tyson is that freaking Maori tattoo he got on his face. It's
I have a feeling that was a pretty strong marijuana night.
You think?
yeah. Can you
It
imagine?
might have been more than marijuana or laced, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine you go something like that happens and you wake up in the morning, you've got the Roadrunner tattooed on one cheek and Wyatt like Coyote on the other. You have to spend the rest of your life walking around like a cartoon.
Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the Hangover movies. What was it? Hangover 2. They went over there and he got the tattoo. And he's like, you know what you're gonna do tomorrow? He's like, have this laser removed. He's like, exactly.
Well, I was kind of wondering, maybe that gave them the inspiration to make the movie was his tattoo.
I don't know if that's true, but yeah. So, but anyway, so Mike Tyson was in Pennsylvania today. I don't think it was widely known. Interesting to see. Who else was in Pennsylvania today?
You.
You.
Yeah, that's right. You guys. Oh, there's no moss growing under this pair. I can't get over that.
You got it.
My goodness, they boy, I set that up and they knocked it out of the park. Yes, that's right. I was also in Pennsylvania today. Man, you robbed me of my laugh. I thought I was going to get a laugh or two out of that one.
No, I thought you actually had somebody really was in PA.
No. But you guys hit it right off. I was like, oh man.
All right.
All right. Anyways, all right.
So what's wrong? What's wrong with your clock? Somebody said your clock is a testament to Chinese technology.
It is. It's a lovely, beautiful blue green. It looks like the lights, the turn signal or the street light behind, or not street light, but the turn signal. Traffic light behind you. That green looks like that.
Green,
it's a lovely digital green light, but it doesn't keep time. And it's not like a physical clock where you can adjust it so it goes slower or faster. It just doesn't keep time. I over each month I lose a minute. I haven't changed it in 2 months, so I'm 2 minutes behind.
You are 2 minutes behind.
People fixate on that. You would be surprised
2 minutes behind.
how many
fixate
people
on it.
Well, the other
I
see,
it's only a minute and a half. See, it's
and the other thing people fixate on. And that's why I have it back there. And also for me, I don't have to be looking around for the time. It's right there. I can see it.
Right.
But the other thing is that has the temperature. And since much of my audience is international, it's in Celsius. But all the Celsius people always look at it and go, your date's wrong. Your date's wrong. That's not the date. That's the room temperature.
Yeah. The little C and the little thing gives it away, right?
No, you can't. Well, yeah, I don't know if you can see the C on there, but so it's 19, then the date's below it. And of course it says 10/29, but the 19, usually when it's summertime, it's 22 in here because, I got to try it. Yeah, but it's wintertime. The heat's not on. 19. It was actually 17 the other day Celsius, which is about 56 degrees, 58 or 58 degrees. Yeah. That's how the temperature was in my house. Well, look, we all got to save and be frugal. I'm going broke because of Joe Biden. I still can't eat like I used to eat because I can't afford it.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
At least
I'm not beans and rice for you, bro.
Beans and
cornbread. Frank's and beans. Frank's and beans. Hey.
How did you get the Franks above the beans?
That's so funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Ben Stiller's hilarious. I don't like his politics, but
get in here. Get in here. How do you look at this?
Yeah.
How did you get the Franks above the beans?
He's looking at trying to figure it out. Great movie. Something
Ben
about
Mary
was
was
hilarious, by the way, but his politics is bogus,
Yeah, but that was. I mean, the Zoolander movie is not something that appeals to me, but that was actually a funny movie. But something about Mary is just brilliant on every level.
Yeah.
That was such a great.
It's
movie.
ensemble too,
Yeah, I love how they talked the whole movie about that big hunky beefcake. Her ex-boyfriend turns out to be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre. I just had these Nepalese coins in my pocket. That's all I had,
Yeah, Matt Dillon.
I love the ball. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm an architect. Have you have you ever seen the Estadio de Olímpica in Santiago, Chile? No. Yeah, I built that.
If you haven't seen it, I built it. Yeah,
that's right. What a
like
great
George
movie.
Costanza, the addition to the Google name, right?
And then he's talking to the shrink. Yeah, roadside rest stops to the gay bathhouses of the 90s. Where did that come from? And then he pulls over. I was taking a pee. Me too.
Yeah. Everybody stands up and zip. All right.
That's it, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in for Lighthearted Moments, the Common Sense Conservatives, right here on WSMN. See you next week, 7 p.m. God bless.